All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our yay. Hard to believe it's already been. Feels like I just finished. But it's indicative how time is just flying by. So it's exciting yet exhausting to think of the amount of work that we have to do for it. But it's great because we really we think figured it out, and it's indicative of Nancy's work on the agenda and all this stuff. One of the things is we really want you to get an idea of everything that's involved, so everybody's on the same page. One thing that we really are stressing this year is to let you know to make sure you read it. A lot of times we gave out information last year and stuff, and not everybody read it. People tend to not sometimes. Actors, we don't like paperwork, so reading stuff like that, because I deal with a lot with contracts for shows and stuff. We find a lot of actors don't read their contracts for the shows, and a lot of information. It's not for legal purposes as much as just information purposes. So we really stress that you go through this and have it on hand for yourself to refer back to. If you have questions about stuff, so that you don't inundate Nancy with too many questions, because you can see how many, if you have 3 or 4 questions multiplied by 40 to 50 people, that's a lot. So it'd be great if we could keep that as minimal as possible, so that we can let her have some of her time to herself. She's been putting a lot of work in, as we all have, to this. So if you have any questions, tonight's obviously the night too that we're sharing this information with you. We're also live streaming right now. So we're live for people who couldn't make it, and we will also post this so that people who didn't make it can go back and look at it, as well as you, if you need to get visual information rather than reading it. So we're excited about some new things that we're doing this year. We try and improve it. Come on in. We try and improve everything every year, so that we get a little bit better and a little bit more streamlined and all that. And if we keep striving for that, we continue to outdo our previous Solofest. This is our 7th year, I think, of Solofest. Just a couple of quick things. Solofest started, like I said, 7 years ago, but we've been doing solo shows since I got the theater almost 15 years ago. I'm a solo. Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks. I'm Brian Rasmussen. I'm the artistic director here at the Whitefire and producer of the Solofest 2019. And I'm also a solo performer. I've done a solo show myself. I did one on Van Gogh back in the day when I had red hair and had hair. So I learned a lot about having to produce your own solo show. And when I got the theater, I wanted to create a safer sanctuary for soloists, because I found it extremely difficult to do. Not just the hardest thing an actor will ever have to do, which is an hour and 20-minute monologue, but producing it as well. It's backbreaking. It's difficult. It's a lot of times it's a money pit. Costs a lot of money, and so I kind of set out on a path to find a way to make it more affordable and with more support. One of the things that seems to be a part of the solo journey is it's a solitary journey, and the cast parties suck. So come on in. Hi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And we are trying to make it an easier, better situation for soloists. And like I said, after doing a lot of ones prior to the Solofest, I finally came up with the idea for the Solo Festival in the way it's set up now. And the biggest thing that you won't find in any other solo festival is our financial structure. And the way to pay for shows comes out of the back end, comes out of the box office, rather than having to write checks up front. And that's a huge thing for soloists, because it costs a fair amount of money, and certainly we're in one of the best spaces in town, so that comes along with it. So being able to work with the soloists and have this process of having them do their shows and then having the checks come from the support of their audience to pay for the entire thing and support that instead of writing checks out from the artists themselves. So that's been very helpful, I think, to the soloists and makes it possible and doable. It works so well that we actually do a similar setup for our main stage shows as well. It's allowed shows to launch. We just finished our most incredible year yet at the theater. We've done about 85 productions this year, and that's not just performances of shows. That's different shows, different productions. That's a lot. And the way we just finished a run of over 5 to 6 shows that we just finished up. 5 of them were world premieres. And so with the market and the atmosphere that's happening right now in theater, that's all very rare, and it just isn't happening very often, and theaters is having a difficult time. But the way we came up with this, it's allowing us to continue to produce theater and have shows happen, even though a lot of theaters are closing and lessening their seasons. We're actually doing the opposite. Come on in, welcome. We're soaring and expanding. So one of the big things which I told you about at the beginning is the ability to live stream. We've been kind of a pioneer in that for a number of years. We first live streamed our first show back in 2011. The technology has changed enormously in that time. We just acquired a new camera that just came out on the market that allows the camera right there in the front and center row to live stream and edit live. So usually you'd need other equipment to do all of that stuff. So this is quite a technological advancement, and we're excited about it. We've been live streaming our shows. We're moving towards becoming like a Netflix of theater, where people can see different shows every night on our website. So if you go to whitefiretheater.com, you see a little live button, and you can hit that, and it pops up whatever show we're streaming. Now, we'll explain a little bit more about that. That can be done with yours as well. It's a great thing because it's not edited. We found it interesting after doing so many things. We found that theater doesn't necessarily benefit from extensive editing or multiple camera angles because of the storytelling aspect of it. So instead of it being basically like television, shot with different cameras and everything like that, we have one central camera right there in the front row center, and it doesn't have any heads in the way or anything. And it's amazing because it'll we have an app that we follow the performer on, and we can direct and edit live on that app, and it's incredible. It's a really amazing situation. So we're going to show a couple of examples. Brandon has put some together so that you can kind of see what it looks like, and also some of the technological support that we're able to do as well. And so that's what we're doing. Let's go through this a little bit. I wanted to introduce some of the panel here. And this is Brandon Lozer. He is our technical director. Over here we have Stephen Parker, and he is a publicist, marketer, and individual show producer that we've acquired. We're really excited about that. We'll explain a little bit. He'll tell you a little bit more of what he can do. This is Derek McDaniel. He is our lighting designer, award-winning, does a lot of shows around town, and he is the Whitefire lighting designer. He's been working here since I've gotten the theater, so we're excited to have him on board again this year. One person who's not here physically because she lives in Seattle is Nancy. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Of course, most of you talked to her already on the phone, and she does all of her work by satellite from Seattle. So we're able to still have her a part of the process, even though she lives in a different city. We also will have Pam Levin come in. She's also part of the Solofest doing shows. She's an actress. This year she's doing something different in that she's doing 3 separate solo shows during the festival.
Oh,
So she's
wow.
doing 3 completely different shows over the festival. It's a goal that she wanted to achieve, and she's one of those ambitious souls. So she was going to give a little bit of feedback from her experience participating in the Solofest. So when she comes, we'll have her step up and answer any questions or tell you a little bit about her experience as well. There's obviously performers in here who have done the Solofest, so we can also hear from them if they want to chime in as well. Um, so, as you can see, the history and the mission statement, the Whitefire Theater provides a unique and supportive environment to the solo artist. We strive to provide a high quality environment, assisting the artist through our front of the house support services, technical support, and unusual financial structure. Some of our Whitefire support services: front of the house management, box office and concessions, custom designed light plot for the Solo Fest, board operator, some storage depending on the availability, air conditioning, of course, and heating, seating for 84. It's what we have, big seats. We can also add 6 foldable seats in the front row to max at 90. So that's your maximum 90 people. Okay. Use of furniture and props belonging to the Whitefire. We have a batch of props that you're able to draw from if you need to. We have 3 of these black blocks. We have 2 additional black blocks that have seat backs on them. So it has 5 total black blocks. And then we have tables like this. We have rugs. So if you need certain things, check with us to see if we have them before you go out and look for them. And so we have all kinds of different chairs and different rugs and fake plants and all kinds of stuff that we use for shows. So we have access to that, and you're more than welcome to use those if we have them. Okay. We also have a state-of-the-art Q Lab for. We run all of our shows now at the Whitefire in Q Lab. It's a software for Mac that runs shows, and so Brandon has been doing a lot of our shows in Q Lab as far as designing and stuff like that. So our ability to do amazing things, we'll see a little example of that in a minute, is continuously advancing. So it's exciting to see the possibilities. We found too that solo shows really benefit from simplicity because it's really about the story. I think it's still the purest form of storytelling in theater is solo performances. Because what's interesting about theater is that it should and does now, I think, a little bit more than it had been prior, is that it should be the storytelling aspect of it is done by the solo performer, and then we're creating the images in our heads rather than trying to see them in front of us like television and film. And that's the thing that we have that's different than television and film. And I think that's what keeps us in the arena with them, even though we don't have the budget and the finances and stuff, is that we're able to tell stories and have people create them and the scenes and everything in their heads rather than trying to show them extravagant sets and etc. like that. So it's interesting to learn that aspect of it and see that we still have that tether to storytelling back in the caveman days and all that stuff. So we're excited about this idea of streaming. Excuse me, the streaming aspect of that is one of the things that we're bringing into this because you can have people who aren't in Los Angeles watch your show live. We also have an ability to keep the show for you so that you can have a copy of your show, and then you can deal with that as well. So it's a huge benefit and doesn't need camera operators and a bunch of tech people to do it. It's incredible. So we'll show you a little bit. Come on in. We'll show you a little bit of that as well on the screen, so you get an idea of what it looks like, sounds like, etc. And then if you have any questions, feel free to ask us. Part of the Whitefire marketing support that we do is that we send out e-blasts every week to our 2,500 plus email list. We also do placement on the website, poster and postcard placement in the theater lobby, and we have a publicist for the entire festival instead of individual shows. So we are always producing the entire festival rather than everybody's individual show because everybody has to produce their own show, because that's what you'll end up having to do, when you go and do it other places or in other fringe festivals or other solo festivals around the country and of course the world, Edinburgh included. I've been to Edinburgh, and it's fantastic experience. And the soloist is rarely supported as much, I think, as we do here. So we're really proud of that, and we're happy to start another year of that. Um, uh, One of the things too a solo artist producer does is fully developed production, well rehearsed. Oh, this is what you guys want: the fully developed production, well rehearsed marketing strategy, and filling the seats. Those are all stuff that we'll talk about as well, because that's always the challenge. Butts and seats is the number one challenge for theater in general, and how we go about that. Now, the reason we even bring that up is because what we found is that because of there's only one person in the cast, that's what makes it difficult. It's a numbers situation, and so that's why everybody just does one show, because we found that almost every single solo performer can get enough audience for one performance to pay for their shows. So no one wants to see people bleed money or have 2, 3 people in the audience. It just doesn't happen. So we that's why we do it that way, and is because that we can individually design them. We can do all the lights and everything the day of your show, so that it looks like you've been designed professionally for this one performance. So that's why we do it that way. It's a long day, but it's the way we make it happen. I know with some emotional shows, it's difficult to do it all in one day, but it's the only way we can really make it work. So a solo performance takes a lot of stamina. It's a difficult thing to achieve, but I have found that the more you do it, the stronger you get. It's like working out, being an athlete. But there's a lot of little things that we'll go over tonight to help get your shows ready and prepared and supported. So one of the things that we're going to do too is chat with each of these people to let them know what they can and can't do for you, and what we expect of you when you show up on the day of your performance. Basically, a day is you come in at 1 o'clock, you load in all your stuff, we start doing all of your tech, and you may or may not have already met with one of our ops to either design your QLab for you, or more extensive design that you need done, like your sound or something like that, that needs to be designed separately. We are only implementing your design on the performance day. That's what our job is. It's not to design it in the day that you're here. We like to be as prepared as possible, so that when you come in, everything's ready to go. We start looking at it. We start adjusting the lights. We start checking the sound levels, and we start putting in the cues. And that's what you're doing all day, getting ready for a cue to cue, and hopefully a full run through before then you go to dinner, come back, do the show, and then have a little reception for your friends and family out in the lobby. And then the next day we do it all again for another show. We do about 50 shows in 60 days. So it's a lot of logistics and everything, but we've gotten pretty organized about the whole thing, and it allows us to expand every year and do a few more. So we're not the largest one in the world, but we're the largest one on the West Coast. And but I think one of the best, because you're not on someone else's set. Solo artists seem to always be performing on someone else's set, someone else's lighting plot, someone else's stage, and that was one of the things that I wanted to make sure that the soloist was able to get, is a feeling that it's their show in their theater, and it's a difference in the whole situation. So we think that's exciting. So any questions about what I've just spoken about? We'll go back and do the whole Q&A, but in case someone had a quick question. Okay. Now we're going into support with Brandon, so I guess we'll just hand it over to you.
Does anybody know what QLab is, or used it before? There's a few shows that it's basically a show control system software that runs shows in theaters. They use it at Universal Studios. It's a pretty legit software that'll run lighting, projections, your videos, your sound effects, and your music. So as simple as fading in like an image like the one this, like bringing in an image like that, changing lights to add that center aisle if you wanted to.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Adding music. That's probably too low to hear. And then like there's other things that we've used as a background for a scene. Like there's an office scene, and we had, it's Sam knows. So it's a little bit of both. It's an image of just a window, and then I took out the windows and then put a video behind it, just to make it look like it's a real office as opposed to just a blank picture. And then there's a show that we just finished up. They did little newspaper clippings, and it cycles through as she was talking. And there's sometimes like when Kimoni, there's sometimes when things are queued up, like if you say, "This is my father," and then I'd show that, and then here's my mom. They can all be cued from in the booth, and the booth is on the side there. It's not in the back. So we look through a video camera there, and there's 2 night vision cameras there, and then there's one on stage, so we could see the audience. So if you were to go up the aisle and use that. So we don't physically, we're not out here. So we can't help you with a line read. But there's
no prompter up there.
Yeah, it's some people have gone up, skipped 6 pages before. Can you up the sound again?
Yeah, I just did.
Oh, okay. All right. Or I'm too quiet. The little camera's right there. Your hand might be in the way.
It isn't.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I'm sorry.
I do a Christmas sketch comedy show here, and we've been doing it at this theater for 15 years. We've been doing the whole show for 19 years, and we've been running QLab since we came here, so about 15 years. And like we use it for lighting, change the lights, and then it brings up video projection. And then something that I'm working on for this year. Snowfall action there. You could run, we have videos and commercials during our show.
Holiday depression is a serious medical condition that can take so much out of you. I feel like I have to.
We use those for scene changes and costume changes. There's a scene where there's a guy on stage and he goes to a radio, so the sound changes a little bit to where it's on this radio, and then when he goes to the radio to turn the knob, so it's all visual cue. So there's things like that you can do on the fly and not have to worry about a certain point in your monologue. Like I got 3 minutes to finish this monologue before the light or the music changes. We do a parody of The Lion King. And Santa Claus, Santa Claus, Santa Claus. In The Lion King, there's like animals. So in our show, we're dressed as animals. It's funny. So there's that. All that was images, and I just moved that visually using QLab, so the clouds move, and a little bit, yes. I'm getting all these text messages from people watching. It's a little better. Can't go any louder.
It
can, but
It might
this music
start-
is really
Oh, I
kinda
got
like
you.
bounce both at the same time.
It's better to be up though, so that
Everyone can hear us.
yeah.
But just as simple as having pre-show music when people come in, and then when your show's about to start, that's when we, like our show, we switch to this. After that, we switch to previews, and we do.
Fantasia Light presents Real Mad Jesus.
So there's. I'm just plugging my show. That's all. We used. Do you want to? We used microphones in this past production of the company shorts, to where it changed the person's voice. We had a girl that was possessed, and we had her voice changed by just using a microphone, a lavalier microphone that she used. We had a guy on stage with another basically screen in front of him, and then he popped his head out. So that's why it looked like this, because when he was forward, this actually matched, made it look, made it work. I don't run the show off my iPad just because anything could happen. Like the Wi-Fi could cut out, so I don't run it. Just too scared to do that. So we're in the booth to run it. But every show needs QLab.
Yes.
Otherwise,
If you're using projections and sound.
yeah.
I
mean,
had
if,
that,
if
so.
you just have a blank stage and you don't want no music as people walk in and it's lights up, lights down, then you don't need it. But we found people have tried to use PowerPoint, and that didn't work.
Obsolete now.
Yeah,
PowerPoint
We
that's
used that
more
on
of a
my show.
slideshow kind of thing.
That's what we did.
And beforehand, I told him, I said, I don't know how to use that. I don't know how to edit it. And it was very cumbersome to come in on the day and them not know how to use it either. I'm like, just pushing buttons going, okay. And then she skipped 6 pages. Now I don't know how to skip forward on a program I don't know how to use. But this one's, it's just everything is in one spot. And then the best part about it is you could take this to another theater and use it there.
Yeah,
awesome.
and travel with a flash drive rather than a big U-Haul with all of your stuff in it. I laugh because I had to take 2 slide projector carousels in a box that would keep them silent because slide projector carousels make noise when they drop the slide in it. So I had to have that and ship it to Scotland to do my show. And now to have a little flash drive and put it in and pop it up is a huge advancement. So it's great to have that. Yeah.
So logistically, to do that, do I download QLab from somewhere?
No, basically, to take it somewhere else?
No, I mean like to create
Just
it
to
for
do
you.
it.
If you knew how to do it, you could create it yourself. But
What do you
it's,
charge?
Yeah.
that's that's the one thing. It's not included in the.
Now, there's
Whitefire.
difference between implementing an already done QLab design and actually needing it designed so that stuff flies in and all that stuff. And that's what Brandon can do. We don't demand that you do it, but he's given us an unbelievable price. You're always going to have your show designed. So the great thing is, just like with all of the shows, because of the number of people involved, we can keep the prices lower. because normally shows can cost $10,000-$20,000 for a solo show. So we've kept it very affordable and yet look amazing. And the great thing is, like he said, once he does it for you, you can take it with you, and that's amazing. Go ahead.
I have a question. So the last time I did my show, we did it on I have the PowerPoint. So would I just give that to you and then you would edit it?
Doesn't work.
Really? So what?
There's 2 different programs, so it doesn't.
No, but what she means is, can you take the layout of it?
Right.
That's what I did.
You
I
gotta
went
start from scratch.
PowerPoint to Keynote, and then everything in Keynote was really easy to see.
Well, Keynote and PowerPoint are like the same program.
No, but what I'm saying is,
Oh yeah.
it shows the format, so you get what the show's going to look
Sure.
like, and then you just import it.
That's what I was
files,
thinking.
The same files. You have to have your files organized anyway.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
have it organized.
It's doable.
Gotcha.
I might be able to help explain it a bit.
Yeah.
So the assets are different than the layout. What they need is the assets. So if you
Right.
pull up all the pictures and stuff, it's not going to work in that particular layout that Keynote sets up. It's.
No.
I wish I could explain where you import things to PowerPoint or Keynotes. QLab doesn't import anything. It literally just points to where on your computer it drags it from. So if you have all the assets, just telling him the exact order will
Yeah, that's
help.
what we would do.
You just have to label them. This comes first. This
Perfect.
comes with this thing,
No.
and then just label them. And when you send them to him, like, hey, I need, just number them. That will solve the problem. Probably. You just have
Perfect.
the individual assets.
It's
so.
about organizing your files. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, I think he
You
was
have
just.
all your files organized, and then they can see how you want it.
Absolutely. I was just saying
Perfect.
numbering them will
Keynote's
solve the
really
problem.
easy to get.
But if it's in your script and you have like mother JPEG, label stuff like that. That way, when I go through and I'm looking for that file, it's mother JPEG, and I pull that in.
Got it.
It's things like that. I've been in the situation where it says motorcycle, and then I go through and I go, where the hell's motorcycle? And then it's like, oh, it's rocket ship noise. I'm like, oh, how am I supposed to know that? So there's things like that, like you said, organizing. To answer your question, every show is different. It's like going to a mechanic and go, my car makes a clunky noise. How much is it? Without actually seeing it. The average last year was around $250. Somewhere a little more, somewhere less, depending on how many projections and how much sound effects and music they have. But every show is different, and
That's to design it. That's to
that's
design
to
it.
design it. And like I said, then it's yours to keep. To run it on your own, the software is free, but then you have to buy a license to use it, and you can rent to own the license. That's what I did, and it's $7.50 to run it a day. So it's not that crazy. Like if you were to do the show here, then after that, take it to a theater in Santa Monica and run it, and they don't have QLab. You can have it on your computer and run it that way, and it only costs you $7.50. Yeah.
Quick question. For Fringe, I already have it on thumb drive, but I want to add a few more pictures. Like, how would I do that? Would I do that the day of the tech, or
No,
I
it'd be before.
would email it to you? Or
Yeah, with everybody that I designed for, I set up a Dropbox, and then they would throw all their files in it and labeled so I can understand it. Their scripts were usually shared with me through Google Docs or something. That way, if you were to change anything on your end, I immediately see the changes. That way, I'm not looking at an old script. That's happened a lot. We're like, oh, we cut like 30 pages. Like, cool, thanks for telling me. So then I can see an updated script, and then if I have any questions after we've already talked, then I can ask questions on how long you want this picture to last, or when you want it to go out, or when's this music cue come in. There's things like within your script, it's hard to do it in a script. Like you would highlight it and then maybe put a note to the side, like when I say back home, show this picture, and then go out on when I moved, then it fades out. There's little key things that will help me design along the way where I don't have to call you every 5 minutes and go, wait, when does this happen? When is so? I'm talking really fast.
No, you're not.
In my head's going. It's super easy. No. Basically, last year I tried to meet with everybody, and that was crazy. We met for some people it was done in 10 minutes, and other people took the full 2 hours. I figured out I don't have to meet with you physically. We can talk on the phone, and if I have your script that I can look at, then we can talk it over that way. And then hopefully by then all your files are in that Dropbox, and then I can go through and make sure that the images aren't too small, because if they're too small they get all pixelated and get blurry. So I'll talk you through that and go, well, this one's too small, you got to find a bigger image for that.
And just to be clear on that same, Brandon may design your show, but he may not be running the show the day of your show. So that's what we have. Derek and Tor, who's not here, and sometimes Steven might be actually doing the tech op for you. They all know QLab and stuff, but they won't be making it happen the day of your show, design-wise. So you would need to contact Brandon in advance, discuss your needs, and all of that, and then he'll give you an estimate as to what that might run. So we're very aware that everybody's got low budgets, so we're trying to keep it as low as possible and get the maximum benefit from that. So being extremely organized coming in is essential. You want to have a script, a clean script for your tech op, your board op, the day of your show. Make sure that happens, because even if he has one that you emailed him, our op the day of the show may not be Brandon, so you'll need that. So make sure you have an additional script that's up to date and not an old one the day of your show, because we can do this by running through your scripts rather than winging it or something like that. So it's very, very important to be organized as far as all your prep goes, because once you can do this, you can take it anywhere and you'll know what it's like. We have an all day to do it rather than a fringe where you have like 15 minutes load in, get all your stuff up, do the show, and have 15 minutes to get out. That's not conducive to a good situation, I feel, as a artist myself. So that's why we do it this way. You get the entire day. Most solo festivals don't do it that way. They have multiple shows in the same day. But each of you have an entire day to do your show. And it's for that reason, because we want quality and a great experience from our participants, rather than feeling rushed, taken advantage of, and have it be a money grab by the festival itself. We know it costs to do shows, but we try and minimize that as much as possible. Clear? Yeah.
I just have a question about QLab.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to take it to another theater, I'm assuming the lighting grid's going to look different. How does that?
Usually, what I do here with the lighting stuff, I'm just telling the light board to go.
Mm-hmm.
Go. So that light board would have to be programmed wherever they are. The worst case scenario, they're like this with two hands. Otherwise, back in the day, you would have whatever.
Also, your director, the day of your show, you should bring them in if you have them, so that they can be your third eye. It's very difficult for a soloist to get back, look at it, and you're supposed to be on stage. So we need that third eye happening to be able to give that those choices and things like that. So if you have a director, they should try and be here on Tech Day for obvious reasons, because that's when they're looking at the lights and adjusting the levels and making sure everything looks like they wanted it to look, as well as the artists themselves. So bring them in for that day as well. So they should come in if you have them and if they're in town and available. So think about that. If you don't, it's doable. It's just not ideal for you guys to be able, because obviously it's impossible to do two things at once. So just something to think about. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, we're in that little room. It's hard to tell on a monitor. You go, it's not orange enough.
And don't leave it up to Brandon to do all of that. Again, the director's got a very specific role in the design of the look of the show and the effect of the show. And that's where their work really comes in handy, besides, you know, developing it and rehearsing it itself, but having it look like they wanted to in this space is something that a director really wants to do and should do. So just think about that.
So for QLab, if we want a pink light on a certain time, but then a director, so I get someone to do QLab, and but then on the day of tech, my director doesn't like how the pink light looks. Then how does that get changed?
So the way QLab really doesn't, if you just ignore the lighting side of it, lighting is done on the day.
I see.
So
Okay.
so you think of it that way. When I would get here at 1, people would load in their stuff. We'd immediately start on their light cues, and then we'd go through the script, because the scripts should already be numbered on. Doesn't matter like what cue it is, just that there is a light cue. So keep in mind, like, your stage right, and then I move stage left. That's a cue here, and that's a cue there. So you wouldn't just say one cue. You know, there. Just think about it. Once you move to a different location, if you want a light change, or if you go up the aisle and then you come back down, you need another light cue to take that out. So there's, if you just think that when you want them, don't worry about pinks and I'm just using that as a, don't worry about what those are. Just know that they're there, and the lighting or in the visuals and the audio stuff, that would be QLab stuff.
And also on that same idea, Derek, who's our lighting designer, designs a plot for the entire festival, and basically it includes everything almost all solo shows need. Stage left isolated, stage right isolated, center spot, wash, color, and the great thing, we've perfected the projection situation, so you don't get in the throw of the projection, so it's shooting on you. You can get all the way up to this curtain back here before you start getting into the projection. So all up here, all over here is without any throw on your face or anything like that. So it really looks awesome, and it's a 3,000 lumen bulb, so it's bright and it really pops. So it's something that we've been working towards perfecting year after year, getting better and better, and so it's as good as it's going to be anywhere else now here. So you can really make it look amazing if you get a chance to discuss that with both Derek. If you have certain lights, let's say yours is a high lighting show, lots of lighting cues, you'll definitely need to chat with these gentlemen prior to the day of your show. Don't leave anything to the day except implementing all your already existing designs into our system. That's really what the day is. And then looking at all the lights and what we have available and all that stuff, and then implementing it.
Also, with bringing your shows to another theater, they won't have the same projector, they won't have the same audio stuff. So with QLab, it's a quick little switch. So if they know anything about it, which they should, if they have it at their theater, like I know people that did their show at the Lounge, that it's just you have to now tell the old projector that it's this new one, and you'll have to go through your sound levels. That's the other. So on the day we'll do lighting stuff, then we do all the sound levels. That because it may sound different in my headphones when I'm at home until we get here. And especially if you decide you want music underneath you as you're talking, we might have to bring that down a little more, bring it up. So you can't really tell until you get into the space. But everything's pretty equalized here. Then when you take it to a new theater, it might need a little changing. But overall, it should be pretty close, and it might just be a main that they bring down.
I had a question about my show is designed in QLab, and I just did it at the Lyric Hyperion, which is a much smaller screen. Is it a problem with the projection?
No.
It's just an adjustment, or
It's an adjustment. It should be pretty easily done. If there's a setting that just says go as big as possible,
okay,
and then when you put in the new projector, it may give the same throw, but the way they have it, they might have it closer to the screen,
okay,
so that's why it's smaller.
okay.
But it should be pretty simple fix.
And you can, each show can have, their own special, let's say a practical, a lamp or something like that, or a special light like the one that comes down here, or a particular thing. We can do that the day of the show. We can adjust lights and stuff like that to accommodate your particular need. If you need something special like a gobo of jail bars, because you're in jail, talking from jail, that would be something that you would need to make sure that we can do, or you may need to get a gobo for that particular thing if it's a special situation that you're underwater or whatever
It's
on
easier
Mars.
to find a projection of a jail cell than it is to do. There's things like that
Yeah.
projection has helped out. Like, so you don't have to bring a set around, so you have all these different options. Even if you wanted a different color, if you just wanted blue in the back, you could do stuff like that.
Now, one quick artistic thing about that, you just reminded me, is that projections have changed, and what we found is that they're not just substitutions for sets or locations. You can add texture, color, metaphor with projections. So that's the art of the projections now that's gone up to the next level, and a lot of projection designers is going for that effect rather than just being a cheap substitute for permanent sets. That's really not the best situation. So know that there's just so many things that you can make happen, and it's theatrical. We're not just trying to do live film or live TV like this. It's a theatrical experience. You're doing theater. So set pieces, projections, your costume, and of course your acting, story, and amazing lights is what theater, solo theater is really all about. So think in terms of simplicity. Not tons of props, not tons of stuff, just simplicity, because it's about the story in the solo genre. Just keep that in mind. I'm sure most of you have already done that before, but just a little tip on that. Yeah, Joyce.
So, is there a separate charge for Derek for the light design? Or is
No.
the lighting design included?
That's included. So that's what we have done, and then we've adjusted it so that we can, adjust it the day of the show and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we don't try and do a lot of hidden fees. There are fees, and I just want to remind you, Nancy's going to email all of you the flyer for all of the packages that we can offer that you guys can then choose which you want, all that kind of stuff. So she will be emailing that, like, we do have video crew that could come in and do a full multi-angled video for you, interviews with your friends on how they like the show, editing for that. There's a package for that. We have a much less expensive package for the streaming to do. She'll give you all of that stuff, and that's all separate if you want it. We don't try and do a bunch of fees, hidden fees, or nickel and dime you. But things do cost money if you need it done. But we have a lot of choices as far as what you can do. I'm going to pass around this sign-in sheet for everybody, so make sure that you sign in tonight, that you were here and all that, so we know who was here and all that.
Yeah, I designed at another theater. They took their show there, and they charged $25 to use their projector. It just didn't make sense. So there's little hidden fees that I was like, really?
Yeah, I mean, as a theater owner, it's amazing. But I as a producer, before I got the theater, I was always shocked at that, and the nickel and diming that was happening, and the costs, and if you have a piece of trash in the wastebasket you weren't supposed to, another $25, and all that stuff. So it's just being a performer and actor myself. I'm with you rather than against you. We're here to support and help you guys launch your solo shows in one of the best spaces in town. That's really what we're doing here. That's what Solofest was created for. And it's certainly in the best neighborhood in the entire city. And we have lots of great, real quick, in case I don't forget, parking. Thank you. One of the cons to this great area is competitive parking, because there's world-class restaurants all around us. And that's a huge benefit, but parking can be a challenge. What we do and what we suggest is Augustine Wine Bar is right here to our right. They're one of the top wine bars in town, and they do our valet parking for us for only $8. We just recommend you tell your friends to do that if they can't find parking, because it's literally right there. and it'll save them from having to park 2-3 blocks away. Just so you know, ballet in Hollywood's 15. So it's still affordable, and there's parking on street parking until 8 o'clock with the meters, and then it's free after that. We have a whole parking designed, design on the a diagram on our website that tells the entire parking situation around the theater. Meaning there's free parking on Dixie Canyon, there's free parking on and unlimited and on Moore Park, things like that. And then there's metered parking around here, and then there's valet parking. And with all of that information, it allows, needless to say, we make it happen every single night. We have at least 60, 70, 80 people that have all found parking. So it's not impossible, but we just try and make it a little bit easier. And we recommend that you just tell your friends, just valet right there at Augustine, because it's literally next door to us.
Don't
Yeah.
park in the neighborhood.
Yeah, don't park up in the neighborhood
Because then you get
that's
tickets.
permit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
permits.
After 6 o'clock, thanks, Sin.
Yeah.
After 6 o'clock up here in the streets where all the houses and stuff are. It's you can't park there because and tell your friends not to do that either because
There's
it's
no meter, don't park.
yeah, if there's no meter, don't park up in the neighborhood. Yeah.
So in regard to parking.
Yeah.
Do you find that people show up late? Because that's my concern. That people are going to be so late.
I'll tell you that. We have, because of the struggle to find parking, we have a grace period of 10 minutes. So all the shows start at 8:10.
Or 7:10.
7:10 on Sunday. So we give them 10 minutes. If that's when, and we don't go any longer. We don't wait. I've found that it's rude to make all the people that got here on time wait for people that haven't. So we start right at that time. But just so you know, that's because of that situation. We've come up with that parking for that.
Is it 7:10 or 7:40 on
I was
Sunday?
told 7:30.
Yeah,
So
on Sunday.
7:40?
Is it 7:30 or?
I was told 7:30.
Were you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those of you, you're on Sundays?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 7:30.
Okay, then it would be 7:40. Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. We do that because of the time and
Not that
Sundays
it's
are a
on
little
a
bit
poster or anything.
great. No problem.
Yeah, I maybe double.
We might want to check on that. We'll
Okay.
confirm that with Nancy and
Yeah.
make sure because it's a little different than what we thought. So we want to make sure that,
Okay.
especially all you Sunday people, make sure that that's possible. We can do that, but we normally start at 7 on Sundays. But we may have changed it to 7:30 for some unknown reason that I can't remember right now. But it's possible. Yeah.
Well, I've also had friends who didn't want to hassle the parking, and they just Ubered.
That's the other thing. You could just
And the
Uber.
bus stops right in front of the theater.
Right.
Just so you know, it just
Yeah,
literally
no,
stops,
people
boom,
taking
you
the
walk
bus.
right off and go into the theater, and then hop on it and go afterwards. So it's as helpful as possible. And so there's a ton of restaurants, like I said, around here. Just depending on what kind of food you want to eat, what country.
Yep. Well, exactly.
And it's fantastic for everyone. So we're very grateful to be able to be in a neighborhood like this. I've been almost in every space in town, and every day I'm just shocked that I'm lucky to have this space here in this neighborhood. It's amazing, and it's very VIP and industry friendly. So I had the horrible situation happen when I first did my very first play in Los Angeles, and I had a huge casting director come and see me in a play, and during the intermission, she got mugged.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was pretty traumatic for her, and needless to say, I didn't get cast in anything by her. It wasn't my fault or anything, but yeah, I didn't mug. But it's yeah. So it's an important thing. And when you produce your shows, I know budget is always a big deal, but you got to remember how you want to present yourself. It's like marketing or spending money on your headshots. You don't want your friend to shoot your headshot for obvious, unless they're a photographer, for obvious reasons, because you want your stuff the highest quality as possible. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Did I answer QLab?
QLab
Describe it
stuff
correctly?
I just have one quick
Yeah.
question. I was putting together my script, and for the pictures that I wanted, I was numbering them. And Jessica told me not to number them. She's my director.
Okay.
So do I not number them?
I would, like if it's mother, family, that.
Okay,
That
that's
way,
what she told me to do.
it's easier for you and for me or whoever you have do your QLab to find it. Just in case you number it wrong. Yeah, that's.
So labeling is better than.
I think so, and then have it labeled the same as your script.
Okay,
So that
so
way
same
it's-
as the script as like in the picture that I sent you.
Yeah.
And do you want us to email you or call you?
Email. That way I can remember.
Should we take down your email?
Yeah, I don't know if it's.
I don't think it's on here, is it?
It's my whole name, Brandon Loser, at me.com.
It's LOESER.
Looks like loser, but there's an extra E. No space. So
Okay, yeah.
Brandon Loser, no space. At
Came that
me.com.
way, that way. You gotta go back like that.
Mine's down here as well. I think it's on the final.
And then just put the name of your show here. That way
Who hasn't done this yet?
In front of you.
Oh, no, I didn't.
No, they've done.
I'm sorry, I thought you had.
yes, I thought you were
Oh, I
right.
thought
Yeah, I
you
have a
were
question about
saying
QLab.
that.
Yep.
Has everyone signed in?
Who hasn't?
Who hasn't signed in? Okay.
If I wanted to do something that was just a color or like a mood or whatever, is that something I bring to you or that you develop? That's funny. Derek.
If you have something, like there's some people would send me YouTube clips,
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't work because then I have to go download them, and sometimes you can't download them. So you would need to like a music file would be MP3 or a WAV file. Movies would be MP4 or a movie file, MOV file. Images would be JPEGs or PNG files. But if it's a simple color like that, that's easy to do.
Mhm.
A lot of like the LEDs here, you may not even need something on the back screen because these can be any color.
Thank you for just reminding you. And there's a fair amount solo shows that don't have any projections.
Mhm.
And what you don't want is an empty screen at any time, really, during your show, because as a director of solo shows, it's a massive distraction if you don't have some sort of image on the screen all times. So if you don't use any projections, we can close this and it just is black curtains, just black. So there are options rather than having everybody use projections. We wanted to let you know some don't have them. So we do adjust that and we'll know and we'll close the curtains and not have the big, huge 15 by 9 is that dimension of that screen. Yes?
The curtains, can they automatically open and close during the show?
No.
Is it like a manual?
No. It's not electric, no. So you can't adjust that. You can't have it
Yeah,
close and
it's
then
either
open
open or
again.
closed.
Yeah.
Do they adjust at all or do they just stay like that?
No,
You can move it like if so. Horizontal images work best. Vertical images like this, they leave too much space on the either side. So if before your show, a lot of people have their image projected as people walk in. So a horizontal version of your logo would work best.
But the curtains, do they move? Is what I
They
mean.
can, but I'm saying, what if this is at their widest? But if you only did vertical images, I would say move it in.
I see what you're
You
saying.
know, that way.
And this one, like I said, these will close and it'll do that whole situation. It can be a little bit thinner for whatever reason. These can actually move back if you want these wings. This can also close as well to make it not as deep of a space. So we have options for that kind of situation. But this is how it mostly works for most shows, is the setup that you're looking at, which is why we're doing this. We have an idea, but it doesn't have to be that. We don't like to restrict your creativity. We just want to enhance it. Yeah, okay. All right. So, anything else, man? Off the top?
I think so.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, man. So, onto our board ops, which is Derek. Tor's not here, but also Brandon does that as well. So, you want to talk a little bit about?
Sure. Hi, guys.
Hi.
So, if you didn't get it, my name is Derek McDaniel, and I have been a lighting designer in town around for like 25 plus years or so. Like Brian said, I actually was doing stuff in this space before he actually owned it. So it's changed over the years. With that said, These two guys kind of alluded to what we usually do as a rep plot of lights. So basically, you know, you have think of it as downstage, right, center, left, upstage, right, center, and left. Okay, that is the basic plot that we have, and we have like a center spot.
Good.
We also have a light that I include kind of down in this area right here, because a lot of people seem to want to come right here. Don't know why, but you do. And then you have, I wouldn't want to go down there, but then you have a light in the aisle. Most people have, like he's just put up. A lot of people have asked for that, so I just included it in the plot, in the general plot that we have. Also in the general plot that we have, I have something called a gobo wash. Basically, it is a breakup that is on stage right and stage left. Works very good, like you know, creating some kind of texture on the wings. Also helps with if like you have a forest scene or you have something that's going to be a little spooky or a little horror or whatever you want to do. I try to that kind of can work for all of that. Also have if you know theater, everyone knows theater, so it's like warm and cool type of washes. So I have a warm wash and I have a cool wash as well. There also these LEDs that you see going back here are wonderful. So basically, we can change the stage color to just about anything that we can mix it to. You know, they could do just the red, green, blue, lavender, purple, amber, all that stuff. Can do. He's gonna do it. He's gonna go do it.
I know you're gonna do it.
All right. So while Brandon's kind of making that happen,
Nice.
so.
Every mood.
So yeah, I use those a lot when I design in here for exactly that mood. So you know, people just did a show called Villainy, and it was very moody and dark, and there was lots of deep reds and deep purples and deep blues, and you know, it just you can do that in this theater. We've made it. We kind of, it's kind of what's the word? Evolution of it has come to where we're at this point right now, which works for most of everyone's shows. We also have on stage right and stage left practical hookups. So basically, if you wanted a lamp on that side, you can do that. If you wanted a lamp on this side, you can have that. Wouldn't go crazy with practicals because you know you have to bring those types of things in. And
Practical, you know, those like a lamp that's not coming through the dimmer, so you just turn it on and it's plugged in, but it can go on and off through the board. And practicals, you know, might be a police light on the side of the stage. Those are what practical lights are.
A sign that lights up, something like that. But remember, if you do bring something like that, like a sign that has to be hung, you have to allot for that in your tech time because someone literally has to go up there, hook it up, and mount it up there. So,
like we have a on air that we just had last night, you know, for a radio thing or restroom sign for a bar or you know that kind of stuff.
or
We
even
have neon bar, you know, bar, neon bar, beer sign, something like that.
So
those are all practical lights.
Right. So if you bring something like that, make sure that it can work. Because a lot of times people will bring a neon light and say, okay, this is what I want, and put it up. But there's also something called a transformer that goes on that. That's a little bit more technical. So you want to make sure that if it's just a plug and play thing, happy, great, let's do it. If it's something that needs a little bit more technical, I mean, I can do it, but you need the time as well. I wouldn't go all out more than like a couple of hours for your lighting, unless you have this very technical show that you do need all this lights for. But you know, think of it in that way. I mean, we could spend 4 hours on lighting. I spent 6 hours on people's shows because they only had lights, and that's fine. But if you're doing lights and projections and sound and all this other stuff, you gotta allow for all that to happen in
5 to 6 hours.
Yeah,
that you
5
have.
to 6 hours that you have to come to the show. So what else? Operating.
Just coming prepared.
Yeah, come prepared.
You know, all that stuff.
Basically, yeah. A lot of people who I designed for in this space, like we just did a whole bunch of shows, like 5, 6 shows, world premieres. They all contacted me, right, in advance and said, "Can I get a light on at this point? And is there a spot for that? And how about can I do this and with this color? Is there a fire effect that we can do with the lights? These kind of things. You know, of course, all that can be done, but you just have to let me know
In advance.
in advance. Also, all of the ops, Brandon, myself, Tor, Steve, they know how to manipulate the board. So you won't need me here to do your lights. They can manipulate the board themselves and change colors and do everything else. It just won't be as good as I do.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
But-
Hey, I was nominated for lighting.
Oh, nice.
but everyone can operate the lights, the light board. With QLab, the question on lights in QLab, in order for you come here and you do the lights, right? So you show up, go through your script, we do all the lighting cues, and then we can either do two things. Either we can incorporate that into the QLab, or MIDI it, as we call it, if it's simple, because you don't have a lot of time. Or, the worst case scenario, I'm just doing this.
Yeah, that almost seems the easiest.
Is just to and that's not a bad thing. It's just that you're just doing two buds at once, or at the same time. Either way, but all the ops can do that. What else? Anyone have any questions? Yes.
Can you do like an isolated red light on that side, this side's dark, and then or blue on this side, that side's dark? You can do that.
Yes.
And then what about a spot like in the middle going straight down? Usually I have a
Okay.
spot going at me.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to do it at me?
Here's the deal with those. We can do any of that, all of that, but you got to realize the realization is there's like 50 shows, right? These lights are not moving lights. They're conventional, meaning that once it's pointed, it can be moved from show to show, and that's fine. So the answer to your question, in short, is yes, that can happen. But realize that I know someone asked me, I need 5 different little spots all the way across the stage. Okay, great. Now all that's gone. All the because we have like about 5 or 6 different spots for specials, that kind of thing. So if you want to use all that, that's good. Also remember, someone has to get up in the ladder and actually move that light. So
Time that it takes.
So the time that it takes, count for that also in your tech time.
Okay.
Okay?
Should we email you a script?
Yes.
What's your email address?
Derrick, DERRICK, MCB 2002 at Yahoo.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I look forward to working with
You said 2002?
That's correct. 2002.
When you got the
I'm
email.
telling my secrets. Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
But you can manipulate each one of these LEDs. If you just wanted one LED, it shines down like one spot. I can do it while you keep talking.
It kind of has different areas across the stage. I compartmentalized it into like 4 different sections, but basically it goes across the stage. So the answer to that is yes. You can just have like a red coming on this side or white or whatever you want. Hopefully you can do that. We try to have the center light is basically what a lot of folks will use a lot. So basically
And also, just a reminder, Nancy in that flyer she's going to send you about, she'll have all of our contact emails on that. So, you don't have to do that. So that'll all be included, the one that she's going to email you in the next day or 2. Yep.
Quick, Derek, do
Yes.
any of your existing gobos, could they do like a church-like feel, like stained glass, that kind of thing?
that can be a special
Okay.
for you. So basically, yes, we do have lights that we can do that. we have some gobos, but if you need to bring, if like you need a window gobo, or you have a specific thing like a stained glass window, I would say you have to bring that
Or it
with
could
you.
be a projection.
Just so you, yes, I was just gonna say, we just did a show. You'll see a little clip from it from Villainy. I mean, from Martians, and they had a full church scene and amazing, amazing stained glass that then had an effect. The stained glass then turned into an image. So yes, and that's something more than gobos now. You can project it, and it doesn't have to just to be a picture of an inside stained glass. It can be a large stained glass color, things like that we're talking about.
Hey, Brandon, you want to do that again? Kind of just go through the submasters on the bottom.
Oh, there it is. Standing there.
Yeah.
And to go back to that.
Go back to that single one that you had.
There you go.
So.
Whoa.
So you got that kind of thing that we can do with those. So.
But also lit from this way.
I can light you from that way.
Yeah, that's just the one down, but you can, if there's anything, you can.
Okay.
So it doesn't get
And
shadowy.
so go back to like all the ones that I have on the bottom. Like red, and then green, blue. I think the next one is like amber, cyan, lavender, purple, scarlet, and white, and kind of everything in between.
That's awesome.
And you can mix with two colors and create another color.
So yeah, these are really pretty cool, and they cover the stage. Yes.
Can you do like a? It's probably arbitrary to ask, but like almost like a sparkle effect.
Yes.
Like the paint? Okay, cool.
Yes, I can kind of do like a sparkle effect. Tor and Brandon, or I can build it and then just have it. That's another thing. Is like when I get like all your requests, then that I kind of put that into the general plot as well as or say, hey, on this submaster I'm going to have a twinkle effect. On this one I'm going to have a fire effect. On this one I'm going to have this effect. This effect will go across. I won't have 50 of them, but I'll have a fair amount, and these guys will be able to just call that up when you need. Any other questions?
Is the only tech time at the day of the show,
Yes.
right? From 1 to
Because
6
we
or
can't
1
do
7?
anything prior to your show because another show.
Another
needs that.
show is happening, right?
Yeah,
So
there's
Okay.
that's why.
rehearsals in the mornings for other shows, and that's why we can't get in.
But if you want to send me a script with your lighting cues or where you think that you would like to have a lighting cue, and like a little note of like a mood of some sort, or a color that you have in mind that you want to see when you come in that day, that can always be done. That's easier that way, actually. If you get, like you said, preparing and getting stuff prepared before you come here is key because you have a limited amount of time to do your show.
Yeah, get here a little early. Go ahead.
So what's the soonest we can see the script?
Tomorrow, if you want to.
Yeah.
If you're done.
Yeah, if you're done.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like I made the mistake last year a few times, building a QLab design, and then a week before the show they give me a whole new script.
Yeah.
So
Because they're still writing it.
Right.
So there has to come a time where you're like, I'm done.
Locking it in.
You gotta lock it in. You may not be done, but you're locked in for this.
And as a performer myself, you don't want to be editing inside your head. It's just too much. You're already doing way too much. I mean, it's a lot in your head, so you want to lessen that amount as much as possible. So try and lock that script down sooner rather than later.
Please.
Is there a preferred format for the script? Like, is there?
PDF. Like I said, a lot of people use Google Docs.
Okay.
And then you can share a live, like, if you were to change something, I immediately know.
But if you're talking about like
I'm talking about like mine is kind of written in like an essay form. It's not like.
that's fine for me.
Okay.
For me, that's fine because then on the margins, if you just
Okay.
want to write what you think you might need,
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
that's fine.
Okay.
I've even had people send it to me in an Excel form, which is fine. Which is a queue list, which is if you're that organized, yay.
Yeah, we like organization. Like anything, it allows more freedom in your performance day. It's a lot to ask of your own brain, and we just try and keep that to a minimum if possible.
I have a question. Mine are monologues and songs, each different character. So I kind of have it all separated in monologues. Would I be able to just send you guys like a list, this character, these cues, and just do like a cue sheet, or do you still need the whole script?
I think a script. For me,
Okay.
like a script because
I'm gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because I have them all separated.
Oh, yeah, because I
I'll
don't
figure
know
it
how
out.
your brain works, and you don't know how mine works. So to look at it and be like, I don't know what.
It's a great question because you want to be on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be able,
Literally.
for me, to be able to look at it and not have to contact you to know to understand it.
Because the way I have it now is monologue, this lyrics, monologue of the lyrics, and then the order. But I'll have to put it all together as one piece.
Yeah.
I'll figure it
At
out.
least for me.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Is Saturday all on one day? Because last year you had.
No.
Okay.
No. Saturday is a rare situation. If you're on a Saturday, we have to figure out another time to do that. Most likely it's Friday before your Saturday show, Friday night late, or something like that. So it's a special situation that we'll have to work out. But you've done it here before, so yeah, we know the deal.
It was fine. I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure for anybody else who had a Saturday show.
But very rarely we don't do that for that reason because we don't have Saturdays available to tech. So that's why we do a run of one show on Saturdays because they tech the very first week in January and open and then run 6 Saturdays. So they come in the space of 5 on Saturdays. So because we have stuff in here. So that's why. A lot of logistics. Yeah.
So they said I can rip my aerial lyra. So I don't know if that's from a specific point or from a supporting beam, and if the lighting is changing. Where
Oh, your cat.
Yeah.
Yes. Hi, Cat. How you doing?
Yay!
Yay.
Alright.
I didn't even see you in there.
I
Hi.
just snuck on in.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yes.
But I
So-
just so long as I don't mind where it goes. I just need to know where it's gonna be.
Most
Yeah.
likely it'll be on this beam here.
On the one that's
I do stun rigging too, so
Okay.
so
Yay.
this is the main beam. There's this one, and then there's the regular joist that way. But this one's a full
The
beam.
one across.
So yeah, I mean,
It's hard for them to see that.
yeah, it's hard to see,
Hard for
but
me to see.
but straight above here. I mean, it could go over left or right.
Okay.
If on the day if there's a light, we could shift that light out of the way. So.
Okay.
I
Well,
don't
so
have it lit.
yeah. So because that's a special thing, so we'll need to chat with
Yeah.
him and make sure that everything's good and right. We've done that before. We've flown on these beams before, so we try and do as much cool stuff as possible. So we're excited to have your show here and to see what we can do. That'd be great.
Is there any other questions on lighting or anything like that?
So we're gonna take a little quick break so you can pee. So take a quick 10 and grab waters and stuff, and then we'll come back and then
Here's the secret bathroom too. This is
It's not secret anymore.
for performance. So on the day you're not going out in the lobby. You
Right.
go to the bathroom.
Okay.
You can just shift one behind.
Oh my God, I didn't know.
Oh, I
Oh, another way.
There's no need.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Cody, what is new in life?
Yeah, no, that's I'm so glad you brought that up. I know that's kind of important. Hey, man. Justin, good to see you.
I had a feeling I might take one picture. Doing well. How are you?
I'm assuming there was like a show.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, I heard I missed it. I was really bummed. So I saw the I was. I don't know. I wasn't in New York.
I got to
Like, instead of showing you that,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No,
But I really amazing. Are you all weekend? Did you see anybody lately?
Right, I didn't get to stay for that.
Send that information
I don't know what you're talking about. Casey, bye.
Yeah, she contacted me about something. She wanted advice on something.
Why don't you wait, just so they don't think it's just the only possibility. Email that same information to them.
I alternated work on Wednesday.
Yes.
Maybe I can.
Awesome.
That'd be great. I would love to. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I would love that. You'll work out with us.
It's as good as you're gonna get.
Well, the record player is neat. I do that.
We want some design in front of the lot. You know, like a
Yeah,
presidential
so I was gonna
seal,
go look at
the name
plugins.
of the club that we're
I'm
at,
looking at that last
and you can come and
I think
measure it, so you can do right dimensions on it. But we have that
just
wood
walk
burning.
into that, and then if I have a bright light on, I do it, and then go into it, and then get on, and then come back. Because I was really worried about that.
Yes, we do. Back here, it's a 100-year-old upright. It's beautiful. Beautiful piano. Yeah, so this sounds great. We have a couple of musical things. Our Billie Holiday composers in their show. So, yeah.
Oh, you are? I was invited to some five staff ones that wanted to get certain things, and I didn't want to.
Thanks. It took us a lot of time to figure out what's best. Each year we're trying to tweak it a little bit more. Better. Okay. All right.
So, all right. Well, let me go to the bathroom. I'm very excited to be
The show that looks, because I don't know that, so I'll show that in a second. The show just possibilities for programs and posters and stuff like that. We'll explain that.
I know. I tried to do it.
And that's cool. Brandon's gonna be running.
Last time too.
Sam's keeping me on time. Yeah, he's like, come on. But we're on. We're good. Yep.
Enjoy the show. Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait either. I can't wait. I'm so happy to have you. Our sound, we just got these new speakers just for the last production. And the Martian show was, I mean, we're getting subwoofers all year, so when they went to cars and took off, the entire community vibrated and shook, and it was pretty impressive. Yeah, it really sounded amazing here. Plus, I don't know if you noticed, but we've got sound buffering on the inside here. It's like soundstage, super quiet. It's amazing. Yeah, it's the best thing in town because they built it to be originally as a building. That's why. And that's why it's right on Midtree Boulevard. Yeah, thanks. For solo shows, I don't think it gets better. that space and size, and that this stadium season like this, where everybody's and
There's a legend.
I think so. I think it's certainly it's there's great venues like Whitefire and places like that that are incredible, but they're not in big neighborhoods. And so the fact that it's this good in this neighborhood makes it probably the best situation in town because of that.
It's a legend.
That's a no-go. You have to like cross in a blackout to get over there.
The men is just I think everywhere, and I think the post-crime and I'm downtown and all that stuff by far. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
March. So I've typewritten.
Okay, we're back.
You've already written yours. Have you done it?
And then they open it up.
Was it some other event like this, or did you pay for So you rented a theater? I haven't rented many theaters.
No.
This was the best experience for you. Yeah, the theater's wonderful. And Ryan, everything he's telling you is true.
I don't know.
There's that. You do have
He chewed me out because I charged $15 for tickets ahead of time.
Yes, the right title. Yeah, I didn't that way. But the first round is, so that's a lot. But they're also, so your team
I'll allow you that.
Basically, if there's, if you have,
I do
recording.
do a survey and I do.
Like,
It's not in front of me.
I mean, then the next one, like if there was one word,
but it's
unless you're like, you are here, and then you respond to it.
No, I don't really put on your bus.
Then I play something, you know what I
We can do that. I mean, you or your people will have to be answering, because I didn't put them one year.
Don't worry about that. I mean, it's just,
Answer the phone.
She'd come and see that.
Have an hour. By that time, you should be show loads and things like that. So I just wait till the whole
Broadwater.
but anything that you can do when
Yeah, I'm so glad they did it. It's just a big spread of heat that they
Oh,
need
yeah.
there.
Yeah, that's like say this
I
was
would stay around the parking lot, slide in, slide, or you come to your car and the grocery store, parking lot, slide in.
I'm gonna mark it mine along on this.
Yeah, but I definitely hear what I'm saying. And
Yeah. We opened the box up at 7. So when the show's 8, so they have an hour to kind of hang and have
most of
wine
them,
or whatever. Get the cartoon and get some stuff like that.
I just registered mine, so I was gonna start marketing it soon. Is that what they said?
Yeah.
Because I've already registered mine, so I guess I can't do it yet. Mine's February 20th. Yeah. Oh, really?
Oh yeah, the whip. Yeah, it's not an easy thing to make happen.
certain restaurants will like you.
Okay, all right, everybody, let's get back in our seats. We have Marilyn Monroe and Billie Holiday and that's Cynthia right there. They said
I saw her a long time ago. But I don't like to work at from the door all the time. I like to so I don't worry about them when I get here.
so happy you're here. Great. All right, here we go.
I can't wait to see yours. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it went over. It went over very well. And it kind of doesn't lose the whole Trump thing because I got quotes from all these. It's got all these really powerful quotes. And what did you do it before?
Have a seat, everybody.
Theater.
We can chat all night.
Oh yeah.
I just want to make sure we touch on everything. Kat just brought this thing up. Just we'll tell you a little bit more, but just so you know, because we tried to figure out what shows needed and usually didn't have or things like that, and so we put it into the deal. The deal that is that we include the tech op that's running your show as part of the financial structure, as well as the front of the house box office situation. Now at that, we have concessions. We do have beer and wine, and we allow people to bring it in. So it's a nice situation. Since it's my space, I don't have to worry about people complaining that don't bring anything in. You will, if you want to have a reception, you'll bring in your wine or other things for after the show. That's always done after, not prior, but after your show. Not everybody does that, but everybody. And just so you know, different performers will have maybe different themes for their stuff. So if it's an Italian show, they may have Prosecco, right? Prosecco. I'm drinking, so. But you know what I'm saying? So just things like that to do your creativity. And then we have a big refrigerator upstairs that you can put your stuff in there if you need to. And also, these are little details. On the day of your show, you have one parking space that's right behind the theater that you can park all day long and for your show. So parking is a challenge here, but we have one space for the performers on Solofest days. So we'll show you that when you come in on the day of your show, but you don't have to find parking and then lug all your stuff 2 blocks to come into the theater or worry about your meter expiring during your tech or something like that. Yep.
Is it just wine and drinks that you allow, or is it food as well?
Food too, yeah. I mean, food meaning candy bars and milk duds. Yeah.
So with the concessions, we don't provide it, but we also don't profit from it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That's what pays for the service to have happen and all that good stuff. So it works great. Plus, you don't have to bring a bunch of stuff in. We already have it here. Yeah.
If you have other things that you might want to sell during,
Like-
or after, like art or like
Yeah.
books or things like that, we can do that?
Absolutely. CDs, sometimes music CDs or T-shirts or books or something like that. Absolutely, we'll set it up outside with a little sign that tells you how much, and we'll collect it in a separate envelope for you, and then give it to you along with your paperwork at the end of the show. That's one of the things too. At the end of your show, we will have you come up to my office and we'll go over the numbers and all that stuff. We'll hand you your paperwork. We don't like to hold on to anything. We're very transparent for money and all that stuff because I know that always becomes an issue. We'll tell you exactly what you did and how you did and all that. So we do that right at the end of the night, and so that everybody is aware of what your situation is. Then, as Nancy's been telling you, you'll have a check already for us, but we hold on to that until your check from Brown Paper Tickets comes to you and is paid for, and then we can then deposit your check. Yeah.
Can we request not to have food while people are at the show?
You can.
I mean, drinks fine, but like rattling and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Inside the theater while you're performing.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I get that, I understand, but we don't purposely have a lot of loud, noisy, eating and stuff for people to do, because obviously, but it's the pluses far outweigh the negatives. So, but yeah.
Tell them about the soundproofing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was just telling that we're really fortunate. We're the only place in town that has this, but the sound buffering that's all around the inside of this, we were fortunate to have, because when they built this, they turned it from an antique store, a corner drugstore, into this space. They initially wanted to create it as a insert film studio, and so they put all the sound buffering on the inside. Oh yes, thank you. Okay, yeah, thank you. So that it's, as you can see, it's very quiet considering you're right on Ventura Boulevard. So we shoot a lot of stuff in here for that reason, and it's an amazingly quiet space, and we're very fortunate to have that. I think it's the only space in town that has this kind of sound buffering on the entire inside of it. So yeah.
I'm sorry, I think you already said this, but if we want to have a reception at the end, we email you.
Yeah, everybody almost does.
Yeah.
So we expect you to. So you'll bring in your stuff, or so a lot of times they have friends bring it in, and they'll put it up in the refrigerator or set it up by the office, so that then we can bring it down and have it set up for the people coming out of your show. Some solo shows have Q&As afterwards, so we can do that while they're doing the Q&A. So it just depends. We found that because of the issues that a lot of solo shows are dealing with, that a lot of times Q&As happen because of that. They like to talk about the struggle or the issue that you guys happen to bring up in your show. So, but yes.
Is that something you'd recommend them putting on the flyer? Because I wanted to do that.
Sure.
So
you can, yeah. You can. So now we're gonna hand it over to Stephen. Stephen is new to our group. One of the things that people were noticing is how great our backstage and all that stuff is. These are some of the best people in town working on your show. So it's a great situation, and very rare that you have the level of talent working on your show that you have up here. Not me, but these guys. So yeah, so it's a great thing for everybody. It's a win-win. So anyway, this is Stephen Parker. He's going to be helping with opping shows as well. But one of the great things that he's able to do is he's also a producer. He produced a Game of Thrones musical that was such a big hit here in Los Angeles. It went to New York. He's going to be producing with us on a number of things coming up. So he has a lot of knowledge on producing. So he's actually available, and we'll talk a little bit about what he does to help you produce your own individual show. Now that obviously there's some costs to that, but it's an amazing thing that most solo shows don't have, because you become the producer yourself because of budget and all that kind of stuff. But we worked out some great financial things to have him help you with that, and it's really important. Most, like I said, don't have that luxury, but it's a great thing to have because they're working on getting people in here and the marketing and all that kind of stuff, which he'll go over and talk to you about. So, Steve.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
So first of all, I just want to reiterate kind of what Brian said. These guys and myself, I don't like to include myself in that, but They're the best. I came in here yesterday to do a show that had no lighting cues set up, and they needed 232 of them programmed by 6:30, and we sat there from noon to like 6:25 and got all of them done. And then I ran the show, and we didn't miss any cues, which is a
Wow.
miracle. But these guys are amazing, and I want to reiterate how fortunate you guys are to have them, because I've been part of a lot of crappy shows. Like where you just get stuck with somebody that you are shooting your brains out, hoping that you would be able to get literally any other person who can press buttons. But these guys are great. Just so you know a little bit about me, I'm a former child actor, and I transitioned into theater producing in my early 20s. I have been very lucky. I started out doing parody musicals. I did a 2014 show called Lost the Musical, where we did all 6 seasons of Lost in one night.
Oh my God!
We had the audience votes on alternate endings. We had 3 endings to choose from because, of course, people didn't like the original ending of Lost. I actually cast this one in that show. I didn't know she was here tonight. She played Kate, Kat LaCoy. She's amazing. Don't let her fool you. She is British. She will pretend she's not.
Wow, you just
I know, I just outed her.
Outed her,
Wow.
man.
And then I moved on. I did a bunch of other shows in between. Last year we did Game of Thrones musical. We ran in 3 cities. We did over 100 shows throughout the year. We ended on Off-Broadway. We sold out for a lot of nights. And then HBO came in and said, "You guys got to stop." And we stopped. Which is literally how it happened. They said basically we had to change so much to accommodate them that we lost all ticket sales because no one knew what we were anymore. So we shut down. But that's okay. What I offer productions is I'm very good at a couple things. I've been a one-man band for most of my producing life, so I'm very good at organizing shows. I can build your schedules. I can help you. I can help you get your props secured. There's a large amount of things I can do to help self-produce your shows. I raise their hands. Who's ever produced a show before? So yeah, a fair amount of you know, all of you actually. You know like how crazy it can be to be a one-man band coming in the day of, having to get everything prepared, having to get everything on the shelf right away, and having, what is it, from 1 to what time show starts? At 8? So having 7 hours to get everything on is, I'm sure you know, drastically overwhelming. I'm there, I offer a wide variety of things that I won't bore you if we're going into everything. I'm sure will be in the flyer. And if not, just reach out to me with questions, and I can see if I'm a good fit.
Nancy will include that in that flyer.
And if there's something you're like, I don't know if he does that, my business cards are right there. If you're like, if you want to just email or call me directly, please do, and you can figure out right away, am I a good fit for your production? Will I be helpful, or am I something you don't need? Because I'll be very upfront with you. If you're doing fine and I'm not going to be of much service, I'd much rather you save the money than use a service you're not going to utilize. The other thing I'm really good at, I'm a marketing, through pure sheer will and ignorance, I become good at marketing. Basically, my strategy, I'll organize all your social media, I'll run your event pages, I'll help you get coupon codes set and use marketing strategies to get newsletters out there, start building a ticket base. I'll raise awareness around locally, getting partnerships with businesses in walking distance to help cross-promote. I've done that a lot, where it really helps. Like, I give your patrons 10% off tickets with meal and a show, basically. That usually works pretty well. A lot of people are just very open to it, because anything that helps small businesses helping small businesses is always beneficial, and generally it just takes asking. Like, literally, people are usually excited to be part of the arts. I'm also, if you have any special ideas, you're like, I really want to go after this, I'm always open to hearing. The more I know about your show and how you think it draws people, the better. If you want to hire me, I would sit down with you. We go over what you think the draws are in your show. I'd want to learn as much as possible about your show, so I can effectively kind of show people what you think brings most people in. A question that I always ask shows when I come in is, why are you doing this particular show? What makes you excited to do it? Like, why is it now the important time to do the show? Oddly enough, no one ever knows the answer to that question. They're always very caught off guard, but I think it's important to know your show, know who your audience is, and know how to reach those people, and I can help you bridge that gap. I don't want to talk forever. Any questions? Great. But I'm a resource. Even if you don't think you're going to use me, if you're like, I'm not sure, call me. I'll answer questions. I'm very open with that. You don't. Yes, go ahead.
Could I ask your rate?
Yes, I'm offering a very discounted. My rate's normally pretty crazy, so I'm offering 200 base rate per show, which is basically just covers some basic services. If your show demands a lot, I might talk to you, but basically for 95% of your shows, 200 is the base rate. So,
which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
You mean show or performance?
Is there a difference?
It's just one
Yeah,
performance,
it's
so.
one performance.
Oh, I was like that teacher thing.
Oh no, that would be different.
Okay.
Yes, totally
Yeah.
different. It's a special situation too. Very special. Don't start advertising. Oh, I know a guy.
If you're interested in future things, cross that bridge when it gets there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
What about for just marketing? Will that?
So I don't really split up the rate because it basically
I was gonna say.
it's how do I explain this? Like I can't really do one or the other. It's already so heavily discounted. I'm kind of including them in one. But if you want me just for marketing, maybe I can work something out for you. Like call me. Like I'm pretty easy. Like it's funny. My girlfriend says like I will agree to almost anything. like I'm.
A little too much information.
Sorry.
Oh.
So I'm just I love LA theater and I love artists and I love helping people, much to my decrement. like I really just love being parts of productions and I love what you guys bring to the table. 200 is kind of my bare minimum. Like I my last show I don't want to say, but like we sold $300,000 in tickets. Like I've been very fortunate to serve at some high level things by sheer luck and happenstance and just meeting the right people that taught me the right things. So I mean I can work with things on their needs, but generally that's my base like bare minimum. So
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And
Yeah, I decided to have him on board because it's one of those things that usually just doesn't make it into the whole picture here. So
Right.
we're excited about having Stephen work with us. So.
Oh, cards over there.
my
The
cards are
cards
the
and
red
orange
ones.
ones right there. That's what those are for.
Is part of that sort of reaching out to critics or people?
Yeah,
reviewers?
so I can if absolutely if you want. Reach out to industry. I think is very valuable for this for some performers. Reach out to agents, managers. I have all the addresses, so I can reach out if you have postcard budgets. If you're making postcards, I can make mailers. I can do that for you. You'd have to pay for the postage, but I'll do all the organization and the mailing.
Wow.
Stuff like that. Like
We're going
and
to chat
also-
with you about that in
yeah,
a second about critics.
are iffy with this because
Right.
it's one
Okay.
performance. We did a run in San Diego for Comic-Con for a show, and people kept asking us, "Can we come see the show if we're a critic?" And I said, "Well, we're running for one weekend for Comic-Con. If you come see the show on a Saturday and your review goes out on Monday, it does me no good.
Right.
Like it maybe helps me for a future venue if I want to put the review for my program in the future. But that show had no intent to run beyond that, so I'm like, I'm not going to care about critics because I have no intent to run this beyond Monday. Like, you know, so it's just for different strokes for different folks. So
Right.
Now, yeah, and now on that same, it'll take us right into marketing and all that kind of stuff with publicity and things like that. Which will one of the things is we found about this difficulty with critics and reviews are important, but in general, it's tough to get critics to see one performance and to see solo shows. It's just it's a challenge. It's not usually high on their list, but the whole solo genre has changed over the last number of years. It used to be more of a showcase type of situation, and now it's a highly respected genre in theater, and it's has changed. And so now a lot of them deal with heavier issues and stuff like that, rather than how many characters can I do and how well I can do Van Gogh or something like that. It's really changed because of the world and changing and dealing with and that's what theater's role has been, I think, a lot in the arts world is dealing with issues that can't be or haven't been dealt with in film and TV. And so it's an exciting aspect of the whole situation, but it's a tough thing to get to sell to critics and everything. But we have a fantastic situation. The whole critical mass has changed because of a lot of reasons. But but it's getting a publicist, paying a publicist. Most of us don't have the budget for that, and then they invite critics and stuff like that. Is become less and less over the years. But one of the great things is now there's a situation, and we'll bring this up, and it'll come up into the flyer as well. NoHoArtsDistrict.com is a huge supporter for us, and they do a great package for our Solofest people. They do a e-blast to their massive database. They do a email blast. An ad in their online situation, and send a critic. So you basically get this whole package for, I think it's about 150, which is amazing, and it guarantees a critic comes to your show. And the great thing about that is most of them are done by Samantha Ronceros. She's one of the best critics in town, and she does it for NoHoArtsDistrict.com, and she's a phenomenal critic, which is not easy to find in theater reviewers lately. So and also the Tolucan Times also does a situation where they're very blatant pay to play, but it's a about I think a $90 business card size ad, and they'll for $90, and they'll send a reviewer as well. So that guarantees you 2 critics that will come to your show for sure without having a publicist, and you get marketing and advertising included in that, which is great.
Yeah.
So it's really a great deal, and we highly recommend it, just because it's a rare situation. Yeah.
There's another website called Smash, and they have a critic who will come to just about anything. She's a little old lady. She loves theater, and she'll come and she'll write you a review.
Wow.
All you got to do is get her a free ticket and maybe buy her a drink.
We can get her wine here. We can get her a wine here.
Smash.
Smash.
S-M-A-S-H.
Wow. And did not know about that. Thanks, Ralph.
Yeah, I just found out
This
myself.
may be a little off topic. I don't know if you guys have this question yet, but as far as videography,
We're going to get into that.
gotcha.
With that videography situation, we have a number of different options. Nancy will be emailing you the packages that you can peruse and decide if it's working for you. There's different costs of that for obvious reasons. What we do have different this year is streaming. And the streaming is live streaming, but it's also taping your show. Meaning you'll have that as well, and you don't have to have crew, and you don't have to have editing and stuff like that, and so it's a less amount. So I think it's 150 just to stream it, and then another 100 to keep it. So for the whole thing, that's what it costs. So she'll tell you what it is, but it's a great situation because of where it's at. It's not at angles. It's right there in the front row center. And that's what we have as well. So there's different packages, and like I said, Nancy will include that in the email flyer that she's going to ready to set out in the next day or so.
Do they allow outside
Sure.
people? Okay.
Yeah, you can come in if you have your own person that does videography for you. Absolutely. You know, we're not trying to make money off of people. Like all of our vendors, our postcard people, and our banner people are the cheapest and best in town. And we just want people to be protected and not ripped off. That's why we recommend them. We don't make any money off of them or anything. We just try and get you the best situation for the money because we know how important it is. Like we have a great deal with USA Printing, which does our postcards. 1,000 4x6, $50. That's less than anything you'll find even on Vistaprint or print.com or whatever it is. No, Nancy can make your programs for you. She does. We have a couple of examples here on the table, and it can cost hundreds and hundreds to do it, and that's one of the things that people forget till like the day of, and then panic. So she does an amazing deal. So check with her on that, and you'll see her work down here. It's really fantastic, and because she knows our situation, it's the lowest that you'll ever get anybody to do it. And a lot of solo shows can only need one sheet, a lot of times, but you can all do. There's smaller information in it, but they the printing and everything has really come down as far as costs go. So. Yeah.
Did you say that the postcards are 50 for 1,000?
Yes.
That's a postcard for every 20 cents. That's crazy.
It's incredible. Yeah. It's both sides.
That's crazy.
And it's high quality. So
I don't know how she makes money off that.
Wow.
I mean, she doesn't do that. It's USA Printing.
Mhm.
But the banners are again very affordable, and we have just so you know, since I'm doing it, this is an example of our posters. This is Cynthia right here, does our Billie Holiday show. These are 11 by 17s. We provide 5 of these on your show day for you. So, because we have a sandwich board out front, and we have the door on each side of it, and then one more for the outside marquee. And we provide those included. You don't have to pay for it. If you want more of these are only 99 cents. Wow. At our Ray's Copy Hub, which is just up here on Moore Park and Fulton. They do all of our printing for us because they're awesome and affordable. So, but this is what we use as far as and do, unlike his graphic for this, we all recommend vertical layouts for your posters because they fit in the 3x4 is the maximum size that you can use. All this is in the information packet, but this is an example of that.
Very nice.
Make sense?
Yeah.
And it's good quality. It's a it's pretty nice. So come and check this out before you guys leave. We also have our cards here for Whitefire Theater that has all my information on it. If you need that, these are a couple of the programs just to look at that. This is a solo show, and this is a little bit more. Yeah. So that's what we got going. Yeah.
So I have a question about streaming. Because I have a lot of cousins in South Dakota that want to
Yes.
see my show.
Yep.
And that'd be great. But so the stream package is $150.
Yes.
So, but do people who are going to do it pay
Nope.
to see the show?
Nope.
So how does that work?
It's because we just have right now. It's not a subscription or pay-per-view type of thing.
Okay.
We just do that, and then you distribute it how you want it because we don't want to be involved. Because to be honest with you, there's no money to be made off of your friends and family. 5, 10, 15 people. We need thousands to really start doing that. So this way it gets it done. It provides you the ability to have all your friends and family watch it live.
Got it.
And then you'll have a copy of it if you want in order to either make a sizzle reel or have it for your own. And the great thing is it's front row center perspective. So it's really phenomenal. We'll show you, right, what that looks like. Yeah.
Is it streamed on your website?
Yeah, on our website, go to whitefiretheater.com, and there's a little button that says live. Boom, and you go right into it. And we start probably maybe 10 to 8. We start the live feed, and then they can get on it and all that good stuff.
So they don't have to have a password?
No, not for that. Because, again, it's not a pay-per-view type of situation yet.
Right, so but if we don't want other people to see it, then we don't want it. So you don't have it like a private thing?
It's only live.
Okay.
It's only live.
Okay.
And then once it's done, and then you own it, and you can do what you want with it.
Got it.
You can stream, or you can do what you need to do, or sell it, or whatever you want. That's why we do it that way, because we're not trying to make money off you. We're just trying to provide another service for you. And streaming has been something we've been trying to work on. And right now, we're the only theater, I think, in the world that's live streaming nightly.
But I guess what I wanted to clarify is, so that means anybody could see my show for free then if they just stay home.
That's what I was
Yes,
thinking.
but that means yes, and that's also, I know that's an issue, but like watching a movie on your TV versus in a movie theater, it's a completely different experience, and it doesn't compete with it.
Okay.
Just so you know. We worked out that all the time. We were worried about that, and we realized people aren't going to go, I can watch it at home. I'll just stay home. People come to your show because they're here to support you and watch your live performance, and it's unlike watching it on TV. But if they can't make it because they live out of the city, and we've already thought about that, we're like, okay, we can't broadcast within Los Angeles so that people have to come to the show. But then we realized it wasn't that big of a deal. Yeah. So yeah. I'm sorry.
This sounds really greedy, but is there a way to set up a ticketing for those people? Because I probably have about 200 people that would watch.
We could.
Where they get a discount to watch it as
We
know,
could, yeah,
streaming?
absolutely. We can do a pay-per-view type of thing. We just don't do it all for everybody yet because we're just we don't have that large of audience yet. But if you have a large audience, we can certainly put a pay-per-view button on there so that they can pay to watch your show.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Because yeah, if you have that many, it's fantastic. It's just that most do not, but we're getting there, and we're building it, and that's a what we're basically trying to do is land a handful of theater nerds in every town in the globe, because we're not massive audience, but a lot of people around globally will watch. Yeah.
But even the people who have, let's say, 20 people who would watch it, wouldn't there be a way to do that on brown paper tickets that said, pay $5 and then you send them the information later on how to watch it live?
You can, but we, because we have so many things, we're kind of putting it back on the performer if you wanted to do that. Okay. But yeah, it's all cool, and we're excited about the possibilities. Okay. So yeah. All right. I'm sorry, I'll get to you.
I have to leave, but I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate it, and I'm not walking out because.
Oh, thanks.
I
appreciate that.
No, I really appreciate this, but I have to go.
No, I got it. We're going to wind up pretty soon. We just want everybody to get the info. And also, you guys, if you want what you're going to miss,
I know, I'm going to watch it.
You'll be able to watch it on.
How do I see that? How do we see that?
It'll be on the.
If you click the live button, there's a couple of choices on there of other shows.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
you can,
cool. All right, thanks.
and
Sorry.
see it.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So is the live, is streaming a choice or default?
Choice.
You have to pay.
It's choice.
It's 150.
I know, but you also mentioned that there's a button, so I just was wondering, does that mean?
Oh yeah, if you didn't want your show streamed,
Then you don't have to.
No.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to. No, you don't have to. But it's doable is what we have. It's like anything. We don't force you to do it, but you can if you want. Okay? Yeah.
And for you bringing our own videographer, can they sit where like at a certain spot, like can they sit also on the front too?
Not really, because the problem with that is distraction because of their screen that's open, and everybody is distracted by the screen that like she's watching her phone right now.
Right.
No, it's okay.
My husband's out of town. He was texting me.
It's okay. I wanted to make that example of someone in the front row. This particular camera, you don't even know is on.
Yeah.
Like it's on right now.
Usually, if a videographer, they'll where Sam is in that
where
corner
Sam
there,
is over here,
or they'll be in the aisleway here.
Okay.
And it works.
To not be or way
Yeah, because I had a videographer
Yeah.
for my last one. This will be so.
But what we don't do is what everybody has been doing for years is master shots from the back of the room. That just doesn't help the performer. So being close and being able, we can, if we want to, if you want to, or something, there's ability to zoom in on you and things like that to get close-ups and stuff, which is amazing that you can do that remotely now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want to do the live streaming, but you want a copy, is that possible? If you want it to be filmed through
With
this
that camera.
Yeah, with
this
that camera. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's still the $100.
I mean,
or
we're going to
whatever it
stream
is?
every show unless you tell us not to.
Oh.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so
but
if
we
you
just because it's
but you
there,
don't have to
we're going to plan on it.
have
But if
live
you come and say
streaming
I don't
to
want
get it paid.
streaming,
Correct.
then we won't.
Yeah. You can record it.
I guess that's what I was asking. Was
Sorry,
the distinction between is it default or should you say I do not want it?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, you should tell us you don't want it streamed.
Gotcha.
But you said it was 150 to stream and then 150 to keep it.
No, 100.
300
to keep
Oh,
it.
100 to keep it. So
it's $250 to have your own show.
no, I understand
copy.
that, but you're saying you're gonna. So we have to pay 150 unless we say we don't want it. Because you're saying you're gonna stream it.
Yeah, I'm confused too.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I got it.
It's confusing.
It is confusing.
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry. This is new. Yeah, well, of course, yeah. No, we won't. If you don't want it or can't pay for it, then we won't do it. That's easy. It's just
So
easy
it's an
to turn on.
extra 150 on top of the night of the show.
Yeah, if you want it. Yeah, if you want that, because it's an additional service that we're just providing, but you don't have to do it for sure. That's not because a lot of people want Renee, to show their friends and family in different countries or around the world. And it's taken us a while to get to that level, but now we're there, and it's just there. But I also know of ownership of the solo show is important. I get that. We know. And that's, yeah, I get that. But on the flip side, kind of like music, you want people to listen to it. You want people to see it. And that's why we want to put it into your hands as far as distributing it, so that we're not doing it for you, because we don't own your piece. You do. So that's why we're conscientious about that ownership issue for sure. Because I'm an actor and I know how important that is.
Well, and even our cousins who don't live in town who would pay the ticket, we want our cousins in South Dakota to pay for it.
Cool. Well, not everybody does, but
Right.
we can do that. Like we said, we can do the technology where it's a pay-per-view, so that you can make money off of the stream.
Got it.
And that's fine too. We're just trying to come up with a way where it doesn't have to always be that. Because if we went in business with you and you only have 5 people watching it, it's not really worth our time and the equipment and stuff. But if you have 200 or more or whatever you want to do that, that's fine as well.
Right. So if we want that option, what do we need to do? We tell you that we
you'd let us know.
Okay.
Yeah, only because this is our first time. We just we haven't really gone through it yet, but we've been streaming shows already, so we're up on that, and we're improving it all the time, and we continue to make it as good as possible. Yeah. Oh, you were just doing this? Okay, no problem.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It was regarding the flyer. Not the flyer, the program. Is it okay to sell advertisement in your
Absolutely,
program?
you should.
Okay.
It's a great way to pay for your program costs, and it's easily done, and we do it all the time, and you make it affordable, like $25 for a quarter page, $50 for a half a page, and $100 for a full page. And just a couple of advertisements. And that's another way for friends to support your show that can't buy tickets, is to do that. A lot of our friends have small businesses and things like that, and it's a great way to pay the costs. It's kind of like a crowdfunding, but with advertising. It's phenomenal. It's a great idea. So thanks for bringing that up.
Nope. I have one more question.
Yeah.
Regarding the tickets, I saw in there you said between $20 and $25.
Yes.
Is there a reason why you want to stay in that range? Like
yes.
Okay.
Only because we've done it so many times. We've probably produced now over 1,000 solo shows. That's the numbers we've come up with, and we've just learned that that's the market.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easily configured, and the numbers are easy to do as far as how many. The 25 adds up fast, and it really makes a difference than 20. But 20 has been our rate for solo shows since I started. Now I know other places will go less, go 15 and stuff like that, but we want to tell you up front, don't undercut your worth.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's really important, because I was like, oh, my friends can only afford $10.
They'll come.
They'll come to see your show, because $20 is a fair rate for your show. 25 is just a little bit more, but we think that's worth it as well. Were you thinking less or more?
More.
More? Yeah.
Can I add on to this?
Yes.
So I've experimented with if I self-produce, I've experimented with every price point. LA, it's just that way. People, for some reason, they just have it in their heads that tickets are under $25 for shows.
I mean, it's $25 to go to the movie. That's
I totally agree with you. I'm completely with you on this.
Yes.
Trust me. For some, it's just the culture of LA. If you go to New York or Chicago, you can get $45-$50 for a ticket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you can't do it here. It just doesn't work. You will drive out your audience. Because even in New York, we were competing with a show uptown that had $29 tickets, and we were trying to get 63. And it's so everyone's undercutting each other, especially here. What I would say, and I know it's not what you want to hear, but you want to sell 25 so that you can discount at 12.5 if you need to fill the seats. It's just where it is. There are some people that when you get to 2 days before your show and you only have 30 tickets sold, you're going to want those opportunities to discount at 12.5 to fill the rest of the seats. Because I've always said I'd rather have a show of 100 people that paid half price than a show with 30 people that paid full price. It just changes everything.
Yeah, we just had a couple of shows here that decided to do 35.
Didn't work.
It was rough.
We tried.
It was tough.
I've tried
Very
every
tough.
which way. It just, the minute you hit 30 or anything close to it, people just drop off. And the problem is, the problem is most patrons don't look two places. You get one shot. They look at your show, they look at a price. If both of those sound good, they buy a ticket. If one of them doesn't, they move on, and you lose that person forever.
Just because we're not against it. We understand. We've just seen it happen over and over and over. So from experience, we've decided on that. It's just
our show. We charged $28, and we've been doing it 19 years. When we started, we charged $10 and gave away
free beer.
we wanted it. We needed an audience. I work at Universal Studios, and we had a lot of friends that supported us that way. But over years, we try to keep it as low as possible. You're not going to make money doing theater. But if you make your money back, that's the way to do it. You're better off selling 84 at
for 20 bucks,
as opposed to your show may be worth 50, but you're not going to get people to pay 50.
The amount of money it would take to build the awareness to sell the $2 ticket is not worth what you would get for $50.
And let me just tell you, on top of all that, you can charge what you want. You can charge $35 if you want. You really think that's important, you need to. We are totally supportive of that. We just don't advise it. So we don't want to limit you because you need to do that or whatever. But we're just saying from a lot of experience, it usually doesn't work. But we've charged $50 for the Billie Holiday show. It also involves a concert in the second half, but we put it on Gold Star and sold them all for half of that. So there's just ways of doing it, and that happens a lot. So if you see a lot of solo shows, that's because of that. They half price them so that they're going to get $17.50 for each of their tickets. After the fee, it'll be $15. Now we have a big enough house so that you can always do that, but it's a tough thing when you come up with ticket price. We've done 20 from day one, and still do it. But we also go to 25.
Another way to do it is say if you buy it online, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Like our show is 28, but we say it's 40 at the door.
Yeah,
which is not. Because no one's gonna spend $40 when they can spend 28. You know what I mean? So if you say, "Oh, it's $10 cheaper online," they're like, "Oh, okay,"
and we did a lot.
They think they're saving something.
Right. And we did a lot to the shorts where we did 15 online, 20 at the door.
Yeah.
So,
but if you make, if you make that margin bigger, if it's $10 more when they come here, that way you get your audience online and you know how many people are coming.
Yeah.
So you're like, sweet, I have 40 people coming.
Yeah, and again, they're coming to support your show. You're not trying to market it to all of Los Angeles in general yet. So just keep that in mind. Also, to move on with the brown paper tickets situation, we use them because they've dealt with it the best. They don't hold on to your money. Place 411 seems to, and they offer certain other things, but if you don't get your money in quick enough time, it really is a problem. And so that's why Nancy has everybody go through Brown. Now, I know a few of you use other ones like Eventbrite and things like that, and that's totally cool. But our system works really well with brown paper tickets. They issue your check a week to 10 days after your performance, almost like clockwork. And they're easily accessible. You can talk to a real person to help with you set it up, all that stuff. The one different thing that we're doing this year that we haven't is that Nancy will give you need to set up your account. Nancy will give you the password so that we have the password so that we can access your box office sheets the day of your show. Because we've run into problems and we need to know that it works because you've set up your own before, and then on show day, we're trying to get into it and it's not working because you decided to change it halfway or you haven't checked it recently, and then you're stressed with the show and you're trying to get your list. It's a problem. So we've kind of tried to alleviate that by having this mass use of brown paper tickets and having Nancy know all the passwords for that particular show. We're not going into your accounts or doing any weird stuff like that. It's just to access the lists so we can print them out on show day and stuff.
So if we already have a brown paper tickets account, so we just will use the password given, or
check with Nancy, but I think she'll just change it for that particular performance. Okay. Yeah.
Because I was confused and I had asked Nancy, because I don't have a brown paper ticket account, so I have to create one, and then the password she gave me, utilize that one. That is signing it, right?
Right.
Just making sure. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And if you have more questions about that, Nancy will be, because she's running that whole thing, she'll be able to answer that for you. But that's why we're doing it. It's just ease of use, and we've worked with them a lot, and they're really great. That's why. But we know there's a bunch of other ticket companies and all that stuff, and there's things like Groupons and stuff like that. And usually on show night, we'll have about 3 lists, which is one's brown paper tickets, one might be something else that you're using and then we'll have the door list, the people that are coming. Now, on that same idea, we don't suggest discounted tickets to that because, again, it'll just cut into your situation. Obviously, if you have industry coming and things like that, that's different. But you're trying to hit your nut so that you don't have to pay for yourself. So be a smart marketing guy, girl, and use that. And so make sure that that's taken care of so that you don't find yourself, with 20, 30 comps, and it's just not good for a lot of reasons. Yeah.
So I was thinking, I wonder how this works in your experience of doing bring a friend, get $2 off.
That's a marketing thing. It's an individual show situation.
Yeah,
so
a bunch of those strategies can work.
Okay.
It just depends on what you want for your show and what's doable.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different options.
Now, on that same thing, the reason we have the financial structure is that we have, as you know, the amount that you're getting to pay for everything. Then after that, we don't participate in your profit. It's about 35 tickets sold to make your nut. We have 84 seats. You have about a 50-seat profit margin. Many times we've handed performers hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
Theater, it never happens that way, never. But we've set it up because we want you to utilize this opportunity to not just pay for your show, but to actually pay for your show, the production costs, not for the performance itself, but production costs. And that can happen if you fill this house.
Yep.
So, and it helps you. And one of the great things I'll bring up is that doing solo shows is a great experience for you as a performer to learn how to market your own work.
Yep.
You really have to hustle your own stuff in this business.
Sure.
People, unless you're casting a big feature, and it just doesn't happen very often. But it really gets you involved in your own producing of your own work, and it really helps you get that because frankly, we all hate that as actors. That's why there's publicists and people like that. But you really need to learn how to do that so that you can help not only do your solo show but your own career. And know what it's like to hand out flyers. I mean, when you go to Edinburgh, you got to compete against thousands of performers. The average show to fringe audience amount for fringe shows in Edinburgh is like 5. So you got to go out, and I was Van Gogh, so I went out to the museum where there was a long line to see the Expressionism exhibit, and I would hand them all my Van Gogh thing saying, see him on stage after you've seen him on the wall. And I went boom, 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 boom. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have audience. And I had to bust ass to go out and hustle people. And you got to go out and get people, not just by advertising, but you got to go out into the community, into the world, and take your postcards with you and hand them out, talk your show up, get people to come. That's how you fill the seats. And I'm sure Stephen has a lot of other things, but in solo shows in general, you really have to press flesh. You have to go out there and hustle your own work and be proud of it, hand your stuff off, and invite them to the show. It's a great icebreaker for clubs and for bars and for other situations. And it's just required, and you learn that. And then after the show, if you didn't do it, you're like, oh, I probably should have pushed it, because you're concentrating on the show itself or memorizing the monologue or things like that. It's a lot. So we're just trying to help with all that.
I was just going to say, can I suggest something?
Sure.
So what I found helpful for me for my person show is I have my programs and my flyers, and I would go out into the community and just pass them out, and I have a sign-up sheet where I have, get their name and then their social media so that they can see who you are, because they're saying like, okay, well, who are you? You know what I mean? They don't know who you are. They can come to you and you can follow them, and then they can kind of see what you're posting as far as like about your show.
Social media has changed everything. Just like email changed everything from postcard mailings. We used to have like a 10,000 person address list when I took over the theater, and 25 cent. It was $2,500 to do a mailing. I mean, it was crazy. So when all of a sudden email became free, it changed it for theater. It was the best thing that ever happened to theater. Now social media is, for sure. But thank you for that.
Did you have a question?
I wanted to ask about the foyer area. So coming in, if we have nothing to do with it, is there like a bar wine
Yeah.
service thing?
Yeah.
And we pay for stuff?
Yeah.
And then you're saying after the show, if we want to have an event, we have to provide stuff?
Yes.
Or is that a choice?
No, no, you
And
don't
is
have
that
to. It's all up to
free?
you.
Is that free for them, or you're
Yes.
charging them?
No,
Okay.
no,
So
no,
I
no.
can just be like, oh, this includes a free thingy after the
Absolutely. It's always almost all solo shows have receptions
You
afterwards.
would bring the stuff.
So I bring
Yeah.
the stuff
Yeah,
to you
yeah.
guys
Because
serve
you're-
it, or I have to provide a person to serve it? Or you're-
Well, to serve it, yeah, probably. Yeah, we don't do that for you like concessions do because it involves in just a lot of different things, and that's where a lot of creativity can come in. Depending on your show, you might have a particular beverage or a food item that goes well with
But
that.
if I don't do anything, there is still a service available.
Not
before the
afterwards.
But before the show. For sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. Yes.
In terms of social media, this is a question for you.
Yes.
I've used Instagram and Facebook ads to sell an event before. Have you
Yes.
found that it works for theater?
It's
Facebook
worked for ours.
has it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Instagram has.
Yeah, Instagram and
Take,
Facebook.
for me,
I
like
was just gonna
Facebook worked when I had something directly like. This is where I get in trouble because I'm saying no because
No,
because it's big because. So my theory of thought that I've always been taught, it takes 6 weeks to build a show, to market a show properly. These are all happening so quick. Like I would
It's
say,
different. My show.
that's what I was gonna say. It's,
19
I
years
feel
old,
like
so it's
for this purpose,
yeah.
I wouldn't recommend Facebook or Instagram. You're going to pour money into it to get out relatively what you would get if you just did organic marketing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you're not like we did. So just I'm gonna throw some numbers. We did a 10-week run in Los Angeles and for Game of Thrones musical.
Mm-hmm.
We to get butts and seats. We spent $5 grand on Facebook marketing.
Right.
That's how we built our marketing, and that worked because we did it 5 weeks in advance of the show, of the first show, and we had the first 3 weeks pre-sold, which is great. But it costs that much money to pre-sold 3 weeks. For one night, it's not going to be worth your pennies. Or your, not pennies, but it's not going to be worth like spending $500 or $300 or,
Did it? I feel like I've got a really good handle on Facebook ads. Did it work for theater,
Yeah, I mean,
or is it just?
it's tough because
It's like that. I'm talking about when you said $20 is what people pay in LA.
Well,
Is
I
it
do it
just
all
that
the
people
time,
don't?
and we've had shows that have had ad campaigns on Facebook, and it's I think it's a great use of some things.
my favorite thing I've ever been taught is that listen to people who know, except don't. Because here's the thing: there are always exceptions, and there are always unique things for shows. That's why it's always different strokes for different folks. The Cupcake Theater sells $60 a person down the street, and they don't do discounts, and they
Right.
sell 200 seats a night. But that's the Cupcake. They built that market. They're just an anomaly. Like he's saying, his Instagram marketing is working great for his show,
We
and
don't
that's
spend that much either.
Yeah.
We have never spent over 200. So don't go. I'd say don't go crazy.
And that's for a run of a show,
Yeah,
not
we're
just
doing
one
a
show.
run.
But like,
Yeah.
here's the thing:
So-
what works for your show? If you know it works, don't listen to me because I'm doing what I know to work from the things I've done.
Mhm.
But if you're like, I got a grip on this, do that. Like that's So yeah.
So basically, my show is January 11th, and I am still waiting for the mock-up of my poster.
Okay.
And I haven't started. I've just been doing like save the date things on social media.
Good.
When is like I need to be having my ticket?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
That's the best thing I can say.
So is it okay if I don't have my poster and I'm literally posting the link everywhere?
Are you leaving Prince Charming?
logo.
Yes, I am. So,
I'm doing it.
oh, perfect. Yes.
I mean, that's kind of a personal question. I was like, you know her boyfriend or something?
She's leaving him.
So I understand you're saying when should I start selling tickets even if I don't have the promotional materials?
Yeah, because I know that once I have the graphic design, it's gonna just enhance it so much more. People are gonna want to buy tickets more. But
Yeah.
I'm getting antsy to start selling tickets.
Honestly, what I would say get your. I mean, you may disagree with this, but I'm saying get it up, your ticket site up and running as soon as possible.
It's running, I just haven't I just haven't like sent it to friends.
So
Absolutely.
It's a tough thing because if you think your friends and family are going to share it a bunch, then you'd want pictures. But if you think you're going to send it to friends and family and they're going to buy and then it's a really tough
Make your
situation.
ticket link as fast, make it live as soon as possible.
If you can, just throw up the words of your show, just the title on the graphic image, and start blasting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
So
Thank you.
if my show's February 20th, I already registered for brown paper tickets. Is it too early to start marketing? Is there ever any too early?
I don't think it's ever too early.
Okay, then I'm gonna start
I
blasting.
want to make it live as soon as possible,
Okay.
just so they can do it.
Pre-sales
and then absolutely,
Yeah.
pre-sales are
I was
everything.
gonna say that I posted a picture yesterday and we sold 67 tickets between yesterday and today.
Awesome.
But we're doing a run of a show. Our show's 19 years old, but the same thing. I set up our ticketing thing, and I didn't tell anybody. And all of a sudden, tickets started being sold. I'm like, how the hell does that happen? We didn't send an email out or anything, but that's just people coming to our site, checking for tickets when they're available. So I think the sooner you can get stuff up, have a website that has you know, a blurb about your show, or you don't have to pay for Facebook or Instagram, but post every day.
Right.
That helps.
Yeah, and build the momentum of your show.
Yep.
And we also have found that little video clips get way more views than just a still graphic.
Yeah,
I can't figure out why or what the deal is, but you'll get 100 views on a little blurb like, "Hey, I'm Kelly. Come see my show." Blah 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 blah, rather than her graphic of her show.
Yeah.
So you can mix that up, but it's just part of the social media phenomenon that video gets more viewers. Yeah, make it short, real quick.
Because engagement's better than views. There you go. Always. If you get 100 views and no one cares, you don't. But if you get engagement, that's what matters. And video, pictures engage. For some, text does not do it for whatever reason.
Right.
So.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, Kel.
Question about tickets. So you said something about them going half price. You want to fill the seats after you say I fill mine at 30, 35. I want to get even more people for that for the show. And I wanted to drop it down to $12.50. Are you able to do that on paper tickets, brown paper tickets? Or?
I think you can.
I don't know. I don't.
I think you can, but it's also doable through Gold Star.
Well, Gold Star, I heard they check to make sure that you're charging half of the regular ticket price.
Absolutely.
So I would have to charge $10 on Gold
I see what you're saying, but yeah, I think you can do discounted tickets on brown paper. Okay. You can do that, but you have to call them and ask them how to do it.
The only problem that I see with that, if you start selling at full price, and then right before you open, you sell half price, people are gonna be like, "What the fuck?" But if you wanted to have a limited, you have 20 seats at this price at a lower end. Buy them now, buy them early, and you get discounted tickets. That's one way to do it too.
Yeah, marketing ideas.
Well, because I love Gold Star. They've been so good to me, and I love them. So I could put 10 or so tickets there, and then put the rest. And get these while they're hot.
But just so you know, for one show, Gold Star, they're not as eager to accept your show if it's less than 20 tickets.
They want more tickets.
They want more tickets sold. If you're only doing 10, they're not gonna. So and it's only one show, so it's not like 10 every show that you do.
And you wouldn't recommend just doing 20 on Gold Star?
That's what we do all the time.
And then still do the rest on
brown
paper tickets?
Yes.
So get those sold quickly, and then why not, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And because your show is about Marilyn Monroe, she's obviously a name.
Right.
So people that love Marilyn Monroe, boom, are going to go right for that, just like Van Gogh. That's why it's important to have a great title, a great image, a great hook. That's what we do in marketing and everything. And I've seen about 1 million graphics. I can tell you if it's working or not just by looking at it, just because I've seen so many. So if you want to just send it to me and take a look at it, I'll help you out.
Yeah.
But go to our website and go and look at last year's Solofest, and it'll have all of the graphics for everybody. And so it's just something to think about. So
I've been very lucky with my graphics. They're super important, you guys.
It really is.
Them hip and cool and very easy to understand, and it gets people
and simple.
Excited. That's why you need your image right away, girl. I would not wait. I mean,
and simple.
I have it basically the whole thing.
Yeah, but it's just something to think about, and it's important because it's your branding.
Yes.
Your branding is the image, so don't have multiple images or anything like that. Stick with the one image, and sell the heck out of it.
And you can pay cash at the door, $20 too, right? Did you suggest that?
You can. Yeah. You can always sell cash tickets at the door. We also have an ATM in the lobby because we don't take credit cards at the door.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yes, we don't. But we have an ATM in the lobby, and it's a safe one. And so people can use that if they come and want to buy tickets at the door, but they don't have cash. Something to think about. You want to show that
Oh, yeah.
that streaming plan real quick, so you can kind of get an idea. We'll kind of end on a. There's that church thing we're talking about. That's an all graphic image. That's Tor. Right there.
My word, and tell it among the nations of all the world, and preach therein the forgiveness of sins, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I am with you now and always, even to the end of the age. Amen. I do not know whose words those are.
I like that lighting effect.
You ready to survive? We have to.
Martians.
We have to become Martians. In the end, I want to say to you what Mr. Electrico said to me. If you charge me, I charge you. Live forever.
It's an awesome show.
I have to explain with
See the perspective on front row center?
He knows how to choose.
That's that one clip I showed her.
These are the words he used to talk about us. Enemies, traitors, criminals. He chose those words very carefully to shock you, make you angry, make you afraid. In your hearts, you know those words are true. We are not the enemy. We're your neighbors, your friends. We are Americans, just like you.
It never was. It never was a great character who did not sometimes smash team regulations and make new ones for himself. The rule is only suitable for such as have no aspirations. Have you not forgotten that you were destined to be owners? And to make orders and break orders? Stand up like a man, speak boldly. Highest! Break orders. Always. Always! All your eggs in one basket. The man of business knows that only by years of patient, unremitting attention to affairs can he earn his reward. His reward! A reward which is not the result of chance, but well-devised means for the attainment of ends. My advice to you.
Great. So that gives you an idea of what the live stream looks like.
Awesome.
You know? Thank you. Yeah.
So are they mic'd at the end?
They're not. No. They're not mic'd. And again, you know, we're still improving microphone situations and everything. But again, it's theater rather than, you know. So not that we're trying to lessen the sound, but it's a different situation. So. But yeah, it's that's why, as you can see, it's like sitting in the front row, and that's live. That's how it looks live. So it's not edited, it's not cut up, or it's not done in post production or anything. That's a live shot. So all of those were live. So it's pretty cool. It's a pretty
Very
awesome
cool.
thing that we're really excited about, and you know, Brandon is amazing, and so is Derek and Steven, and you got a great team that's supporting you for this Solofest and this journey. And as we talked about, and it says it in our press and everything, this isn't like most festivals. We're not competing or anything. It's a celebration of the solo journey. And it's a very, it means a lot to me. I have gone in your shoes, so I know what it's like. We know it's intensely difficult to do, but it's the most gratifying thing. If you can do this, you can do anything. I've done 8-hour plays. I've done all kinds of stuff. There's nothing that's more difficult than a solo show. Nothing. But like anything, it's the greatest challenge with the greatest payoff.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's an awesome thing to have in your tool chest to be able to do a solo show. Nothing will be more difficult. So you can go in for major film auditions, soaps, commercials, everything. It'll be no problem because you've done an hour and 20-minute monologue. Seriously, it raises your bar really quickly and gives you a sense of satisfaction and creative pride that's unlike anything you'll ever do, I think, in your entire career, just from my perspective. So, we're really glad you guys came tonight. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, do you have any before we wind up? We're gonna grab
one in the back.
Yeah.
It's not a question, it's just a comment. I just want to say thank you on behalf of all of us. Thank you guys so much for your hard work. Like, I really
thank you very much. Thank you.
Did you see Audra McDonald's show? Did you see her?